That was where he hit the side of my hand.
You threw something at it.
My driver's side window shattered.
He purposely swerved towards me to hit me.
Let's just do it. Thank you. Okay. Wife?
No.
Girlfriend?
Yes,
Were you in the car that day?
I was.
Great. Did you go crazy?
Well, it was my brand new car, so yes.
Yeah. Okay. So he was driving your car.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Stewart, you are suing the defendant because it is your claim that he smashed your car window during what is an incident of road rage, a little bit on both sides, perhaps. Why don't you tell me when this happened?
So it was Halloween of last year,
What time?
I believe around 5:30-ish.
Tell me where you were.
I was at the Costco parking lot. This is when it started, and it ended basically on the street just outside of the parking lot.
Okay, so is this a visual of where the incident occurred?
Correct.
Just so I get an overall picture before you start your testimony, would you approach the
Sure.
map and show me where you first connected with the defendant?
Here, actually. This is just at the exit of the parking lot.
You're both waiting to exit the parking lot.
Correct.
And where were you positioned as opposed to the defendant? Were you in front of him or behind him?
In the parking lot, I was in front of him.
And then what happened?
He goes around me to get in front of me and honks at me. We both end up at a red light.
So he went around you.
Correct.
Were you doing something that delayed you from exiting the parking lot?
No, I was not slowing at all. I was going the 15 miles an hour.
So he just scooted around you.
Correct.
Is that right, sir?
No, ma'am. The incident started at the stoplight.
He says that something happened. There was some interaction as you were both leaving the Costco parking lot. And I have to believe that, sir, because you were both leaving the Costco parking lot.
Correct.
And if you didn't notice him for some reason, I don't know why, but he noticed you. So there's a lot of cars here in traffic. So it would be too serendipitous for me to have to assume that he's making that up, that he didn't see you exiting the Costco parking lot.
Ma'am, that might have very well been the case. I did not realize or notice his car until we got tapped at the intersection.
Okay, now you're both outside, and who is first?
His car is in front of mine.
Okay, and that's at the stoplight.
Yes.
And the light changes color,
Correct.
and he did not move.
Correct.
So now tell me what you did.
Sure. So I honked at him. I inched closer to him, hoping that he would see me. And then I had a collision with his car, like a fender bender.
Then you hit his car.
Correct.
Okay, now you can go back. Thank you. Okay, so now you hit the bumper of his car. So far, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you do next?
I slightly reversed so that I wouldn't be near his car. What I did next was I stayed in my car. I saw him and his passenger get out. I didn't leave my car because I didn't want to get out in the intersection. And then the passenger took a photo of my car, the front. He approached my car. Frankly, he was staring me down.
He was what?
Staring me down like this. And I did not feel safe, so I rolled up my window. He banged on it at that point, so I decided that I was going to, I didn't feel comfortable having him near me, so I decided to reverse.
How do you reverse if there are cars behind you?
Those cars began to go around everything and U-turn.
Okay.
I was going to go in the parking lot, and as I reversed to go back into the Costco parking lot, he, again staring me down this whole time, went into the street to block my way. And he had his phone in his hand, but he was searching for something in his pockets. At that moment, I decided that I was going to leave because he was not interested in taking a photo of my car. He was looking for something, and he was staring me down this whole time.
Well, usually when you have an accident, Mr. Stewart, and this was either an accident or an on purpose that you hit his car. Mm-hmm. I don't know what, because his car was standing still. You had already had, according to you, an aggressive interchange with him when he exited the parking lot. And what would seem logical is that if he honked you as he was moving out, and then he got in front of you, and the light changed and he didn't go, in your mind, you might say, well, he's going to wait until the light turns yellow, and then he's going to turn because I was evidently holding him up at the parking lot. Mm-hmm. Did that go through your mind?
I did believe that he was trying to punish me in some way.
You did believe.
Yes, I did.
Of course. Go around me, you honked the horn, now you're in front of me, we're both going to make a turn, and you're going to inconvenience me because it's a tit for tat. But the reaction to that isn't to hit his car.
I had no intention of hitting his car.
Well, but you did. His car was standing still, and you were inching towards him. If you were inching towards him at some point, what kind of car were you driving?
A Tesla Model S.
A Tesla. What year?
2022.
Okay, so you know that has those bing, 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 bing if you get too close to a car, right? So your car is bing, 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 and all of a sudden it's going bing because you're really close. So you know all of that. So this is hardly an accident. You hit his car more of an on purpose. You may not have intended to do damage, but you hit his car. Whether negligently or on purpose, the first thing that you do when you have an accident is you get out of your car and you exchange information, because I don't know if your car was damaged. I assume his car was damaged because your insurance company settled with him
Yes.
for the damage, which means your insurance found that you were at fault, at least with regard to the damage.
Yes.
But the first thing that you do is you exchange information. Now, it's a road rage situation, so I can sort of understand why, having just hit him, sort of on purpose, and he getting out of the car, you would feel slightly intimidated. Did you take a picture of his car?
I did.
And you have a picture of his license plate?
Yes.
So what you do after that, you call the police and say, there's just been a hit and run. He hit my car. He took off. I have his license plate. Can you run it for me and find out who he is? And they go and they'll find him and they'll arrest him for 12 hours or something till he gives them his insurance information. In any event, now you pull up your window and proceed to take off, and he blocks your way. And then what happened?
So whatever he was looking for in his pockets, he found, because as I was driving around him, I hear a ping on my car, very loud.
Where?
In the back driver's side.
And then what happened?
So I'm in full flight mode at this point and not thinking about really what to do. So I do what I was going to do, which is a U-turn. That puts me back in his path because he goes into the oncoming traffic and stops it. That's the blue, yes. And so he stops the traffic. And again, I'm just driving forward, so I don't see this happen. But as I'm driving past him, my driver's side window shatters. And you can't really see out of it at this point because it's just a spider web. I leave and later get a phone call from the police. They tell me that Mr. DeWitt had called them and they want me to come back to the scene. And frankly, I refused because I was too scared. I didn't want to be in the presence of Mr. DeWitt again.
Well, just a second. Police called you and gave you a direction to return to the scene, and they're there at the scene. So what did you do? You just ignored them?
No, I told them that I didn't want to, and they agreed to have the officer come back to where I was. I didn't feel safe.
That you didn't feel safe, sir. You may not have felt safe if he told you to come back to the scene, but if police officers are on scene and they tell you, please come back to the scene, then that's what you do. You come back to the scene.
The officer did come visit me, and he told me...
You can't tell me what he told you. That's hearsay. You have a police report, I'll look at it.
Yeah, I do have a police report.
I'd like to look at it.
Okay.
Okay, so I see the police report. The police report is relatively consistent with what you testified to today. The police report refers to a video, which I assume that the police officer watched. Is that correct?
I showed it to him.
After the taking information, the police officer determined that there was felony vandalism with regard to breaking his car window. I know that you're going to have a different story for me, I assume.
Okay.
Well, he has a video of exactly what happened. So now I would like you to tell me your version of what happened. You're standing at the red light, and would you go over to the map and show me where
Yes,
you were?
ma'am. Okay. We were sitting first car here in the turn lane. He was behind us. We felt a tap. We were trying to, so we had a Halloween party to go to. So she had a new car, and you can't put an address into the navigation system unless it's in park. So we put it in park, and we were putting in the address. Apparently the light turned green. We heard him honk. I waved.
It's all becoming clearer.
Yes.
Okay, so you know you were going to a Halloween party. You were in Costco. I assume you were shopping in Costco?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but going to the Halloween party wasn't a surprise.
No, ma'am.
That's where you were going. So
Yes, ma'am.
we could have put the address of where you were going in at the parking lot.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you didn't do that. Now you're at a light with cars behind you. You had to put the car in park. Are you reading him the address?
Yes.
Yeah. Could you stand up for 1 second? I'm just interested. Did you suggest to him that he put the address in the parking lot?
We didn't think about it at the moment, at that time.
Well, you see, I would have said to my husband, you are here in the parking lot. Let's put the address in the parking lot, which he would have said, don't tell me what to do. When we're out of the parking lot, I'll put it in. Well, that's sort of ridiculous because now you're annoying other people because everybody's looking to make a left turn. Your car is in park and you're doing something else. I'm not excusing the fact that he hit your car at all because it was aggressive, but it's frustrating. Everybody who's been behind a car that's doing something else, contacting their boyfriend or their girlfriend or sending a text message or looking for something in their pocketbook is annoying. It's not being a good citizen. It's being selfish. It's just not right. Now, so you're doing something that's not right. You get tapped, and what happened?
So I told her, hey, we just got hit. We both exited the car. We walked around back, and she had her cell phone on her. I did not have my cell phone. I told her, and he started backing up. Immediately, as soon as we got to the back of the car, he was backing up, so much as it made the person behind him reverse so that he didn't hit them. He started backing up. I told her, take a picture of his car. He's trying to run. So she takes a picture, and then I said, put it on video. She puts her camera onto video and hits record, handed me the phone. I didn't point the camera. I wasn't trying to be a photographer. I walked over to the side of his car, and he's backing up. Now, the car behind him is trying to get out of his way.
You can stand there. You can have a seat. Go back.
So when I walked up to his car, I knocked on the window, and it's his testimony that I was staring him down and that I was aggressive and that he was scared.
I'm sure you weren't happy with him. And
so he just started backing up. But cars coming down the road, he got gridlocked. He couldn't get into the Costco parking lot. So he came up. May I approach the map again, Your Honor? Mm-hmm. He came up past me, went between these two cars, and then made a U-turn. This is where I walked across the median to stop him. He then swerved at me. You could tell the safety features in the Tesla applied a brake and swerved to the right. He then overrode that and swerved back at me, trying to hit me in the car, in the road, and that's when everything took place.
Okay, so this is what the case is about. He wants you to pay the damage for his window and punitive damages for emotional distress, which I'm dismissing right now, Mr. Stewart, because you caused your own emotional distress. Whatever emotional distress you had, that was on you. So how much did it cost to fix your window? So I know a realistic figure, because this $10,000 isn't flying.
So the actual cost of the window was $617.86.
Okay. And how much did your insurance company pay to fix their car?
$619.45.
Okay. Before we proceed to look at these videos, because now what we're talking about is we're talking about $617 rather than $10,000. But from reading the papers, Mr. DeWitt, you suffered a broken hand.
Yes, ma'am.
And according to your papers, at least, you suffered a broken hand because he hit you with his car.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you sue him for hitting you with his car?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
I've never sued anyone. Probably will never sue anyone.
Well, that's
sorry,
not,
but
well, if somebody swerved their car and broke my hand, I guarantee you I would find the best tort lawyer in whatever jurisdiction I was in and sue their pants off.
I felt he was trying to injure me. I would have handled it in a different manner.
Well, according to your testimony, Mr. DeWitt, he was trying to injure you. You said he overrode his Tesla to try to swerve right into you. Well, that's trying to injure you. There's no question about that. But I'm going to take a look now, because your statement is that he purposely shattered your window with something, and it's your suggestion, at least, that that's how he broke his hand.
Correct.
And he said, no, he broke his hand when you swerved. I read his papers. When you swerved and you hit him with the rear view mirror of your car, correct?
Yes.
Let's take a look. Is this your video?
Yes, this is the dash cam video.
Okay, let's take a look at it.
Right, so,
Shh.
sorry.
Not a so. So he's got keys out. In one hand, it looks like a phone in the other. Now he's going across to where you're coming around. He crosses the little median. Oh, no, the car doesn't hit you, Mr. DeWitt. You threw something at it.
When he does the U-turn.
Okay, we're going to see more, but you do realize that you did throw something at his car.
So that was where he hit my side of my hand when he was coming past. So
I don't
where
see that. Just a second. I don't see that. So let's look at it again. Is this when you claim that he hit you?
Yes.
I don't think so. Does that sound about right, that you said we were hit, referring to the car, and the person who hit us fled the scene?
Yes, ma'am.
You didn't say I was hit.
Okay,
Claims Christopher tried to hit him with his Tesla.
Okay, so, Mr. DeWitt, this is my last question to you, sir. Now, you know that your girlfriend, who owns the car, has taken a photograph of his license plate.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're an intelligent guy, so you did what you could have done, which was just stay put, avoid any more confrontation, call the police as you did. They reached out to him, got his story. You stay in your car with your girlfriend, and you're safe, because you don't know whether he's a nut or not. Certainly his conduct was a little bit nutty that day, so I would have stayed in the car. Now, yes, the answer is yes. Now, your girlfriend, just curious, at any time did she say to you, just get back in the car?
no, ma'am. She did return to the car herself.
Yes, but didn't say to you, get back in the car.
No, ma'am.
Why?
Sorry. Yeah, I just assumed that all parties were going to stop and exchange information, so I went back.
Yeah, but then you must have watched there was a lot of action going on out there. You had to have been watching him.
I didn't see the specific incident when he went on the other side of the...
You didn't see him go across?
No, because I went into the car to get, like I said, it was a brand new car. I didn't even have the full registration information, all that, so I was getting the temporary information out of the car. So I was focused on getting paperwork and things out of the car.
Well, when was the next thing you saw?
When he was coming back across towards my car from the other side of the median.
Okay. And did you call the police?
We then pulled over and called the police.
Who called the police?
He called the police.
I had her phone in my hand, so I called the police.
You called 911.
Yes, ma'am.
And do you recall what he said when he called 911?
Well, he reported that we were hit and that the person fled the scene.
So he said, we were hit. You're talking about the car.
Yes.
And then you waited for the police.
Yes, and then an officer
Does
arrived.
that sound about right? That you said we were hit, referring to the car, and the person who hit us fled the scene.
Yes, ma'am.
You didn't say I was hit.
Your Honor, I do remember when the officer showed up, we talked about it, and I did have an injured hand, and I told him when he came around that I had been hit by the car and that he purposely swerved towards me to hit me.
Your Honor, he also told my insurance.
May I see that, please?
I think you can probably sit.
Oh, well, this is from the insurance carrier because you did, in fact, claim the injury to your hand as a result of being hit. The insurance company paid for the damage on your car, but said, according to the information available and footage, the injuries occurred because Derek DeWitt punched the window of your 2021 Tesla Model S. Based on these facts, we've denied liability and bodily injury claim, which clearly you put in and it's been closed. So that's what happened. Okay. So the answer is, Mr. DeWitt, you have to pay for his window, $617. I don't have to get into, Mr. Stewart, my judgment as to whether or not you were acting appropriately that day. You were not. You hit his car on purpose, tapped it. He was irritating. He was being irresponsible along with his girlfriend by being in a traffic lane and deciding to use that time to plug in an address that they should have done 2 minutes before in a Costco parking lot. But that's what the world has become. Nobody thinks about anybody else these days. You may have gotten frustrated, but that doesn't give you license to hit his car. I don't think that you hit him. I think that he smashed your car window, and that's the best that I can see from the video that I saw. So he has to pay you the $617. I'm also really concerned about your reaction to the whole thing, and I really don't understand it. How much after the incident did the police finally contact you, and did they do that visually, or did they do that on the phone?
I was contacted first by them by the phone.
At home?
No. This was minutes afterwards.
Okay.
After the incident.
And you didn't go back to the scene, you went home?
No, I went to get my child. I was picking him up from daycare. Honestly, I didn't know what else to do.
All right, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $617. We're finished here. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I honor the judge. She's a wonderful person, and I've watched the TV show for a long time, so her ruling is her ruling.
She believed that I intentionally hit him.
He's got a fight or flight mentality, and his is to flight, and mine is not.
I intentionally got close to him, hoping that he would move, but I did not intentionally hit him.
He overrode his safety features on his car and intentionally damaged my brand new car, and then tried to flee the scene.
The way that he was looking at me while I was trying to just reverse, like, I wasn't trying to flee the scene at that time. I was just trying to get out of the street.
There's a lot of things you look at in hindsight and change.
I guess I won in the end, but the whole thing wasn't worth it.
Just a couple of observations. There's a certain lack of respect for just your fellow human beings. Who cares? So he's behind me, so it'll be another light.
It just makes me think of, my saying, your poor planning is not my problem.
Yes.
So just because you didn't think to put in the address in the parking lot where you're already in parked, why does it have to become my problem that now I'm stuck at a green light trying to make a left? I'm going to be late for my event, for wherever I'm going.
Picking up my kid from school.
Just try and plan a little bit better to not make it everybody else's
That's his problem. And then getting frustrated, and really, it had to be purposefully tapping his bumper, and then turning around, trying to evade giving his information. What I think is most compelling about the plaintiff, and he was entitled to his smashed window, the police told him to come back to the scene. He said no.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that.
I don't know how anyone could come here looking for any amount, but especially $10,000 when you ignored a direct order from a police officer.
Anyway, I know this sounds terribly sexist, and don't write letters or anything. I'm not interested in it. But most road rage cases, most that I've tried, have been men. Now, why is that? I think it's somehow related to testosterone. I don't know. I have to do a scientific evaluation.
She came at me in an aggressive way.
That's not true.
You can't do that.
I got intimidated.
You had no right to put your hands on him.
This is an ongoing thing in front of our son.
You do know that that's trauma.
Vandalism and assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3061, Marvia versus Marvia.
Mr. Marvia,
Yes, Your Honor.
you and the defendant are now divorced. You have one child.
That's correct, Your Honor.
How old is the child?
He's 3. He's going to be 4.
And who has primary custody of that child?
She does.
Is that pursuant to the judgment of divorce?
We have a custody agreement where
This is what you allege in your petition. You allege that it took a while to enforce your visitation with your son, and during the first exchange, where you were supposed to have him for a weekend,
correct.
that the defendant keyed your car.
That is correct, Your Honor.
You went to her home to pick up the child,
Yes, that's correct.
and your petition says that either you or your former wife put him in his car seat.
Correct.
Who put him in his car seat?
I put him in the car.
No, I put it in the car.
You put him in the
Yes.
car. Okay. And then for some reason, you took him out of the car seat.
Yes.
Tell me why you took him out of the car seat.
It was my first weekend. I was not going to sleep with him, spend the night. So I was kind of sad. So I came 5 minutes early. So I told his dad, like, is that okay? Can I give you a hug? And he started like, no, screaming to me and like, say like, no, it's already had to go. And that's why like, he like, okay, you want to give you a hug? Take it to the car. That's why I take it after the car.
You took him out of the car. You do know that your hysteria was traumatic for a 3-year-old. Yes, putting him in his father's car, and if he hadn't been away from you, that's traumatic for a child. So now he's in the car and he's in his car seat. Nobody says he's crying. Nobody says he's hysterical. You say, I want to give him one more hug and take him out of the car seat just to give him one more hug.
No, he was crying. He was crying. He was like, and I was talking to him, like, say, you want to go with daddy. You need to understand that's your daddy weekend. Daddy love you, and daddy need to spend time with you, and mommy love you, and then you need to spend time with mommy. So I was talking to him and explaining him.
How long had it been since his father had him for the weekend?
He was here every week, and then call him every day, but like nothing like to go to take it to his house to spend the night.
Why?
Because when we separate, we got agreement. We got agreement that he can see him every day. So he has issues. He has.
He can see him every day. That's what you said. But he wanted to take him. Did he have to go to court for an order of visitation?
Yes.
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 Okay.
But because
so the answer is yes. So, okay. So now you take him out of the car, and you say that it was at that point that she keyed the car.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Tell me what you saw.
I did get there early. I picked him up. She wanted to take him out of the car for 5 minutes. I said, take him out. As soon as she takes him out, I hear something loud, like a scrape, and I looked around back, and there was a big scrape on my
You have
Tesla.
a photograph of it?
I also have a video of it. The Tesla recorded it.
I want to see that. But the police were called. You called the police.
Correct.
And the police arrived, Ms. Marvea, and you told the police that you would pay for the damage.
I didn't. I just got intimidated because...
You already told me. I'm just letting you know. You swore in your answer that you told the police that you would pay for the damage.
Yeah, I was...
That's what you swore in your... You said, I was intimidated. Because he said, I want to press charges.
Yes.
And then they convinced him that if she says she'll pay for the damage, will you drop the charges? He said yes.
Yes, but I mean, I didn't.
I don't care.
I know, but it was not my. It
was not mine.
I know.
Okay, now I'll see the video.
Okay.
Is this the video of that day?
That's correct, Your Honor. So I'm right there. She's.
Just a second. I can see.
Sorry.
I just want to see the video.
This is the second video, Your Honor.
No, I don't want to look. I want to go back to the other one. Now go slowly, frame by frame. Slowly, frame by frame. There's the hand, her hand on the car. Absolutely.
I don't.
Absolutely. I don't care what you see. That's what I see.
I have the police report, Your Honor.
Can I see the police?
And the key.
I don't see. I just closed the door. I don't see anything like I there with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't see anything. Mm-hmm. I just see like I was closing the door.
This is the police report. Anna admitted that you may have accidentally scratched the door.
I got intimidated. Honestly,
I don't care whether you were intimidated.
It was 20 police around me, and then he was trying to put charges on me. So I said, like, okay, I pay him.
Good. And you want to pay him. May I see the bill for the scratched door? Oh, and there's the scratch on the car. Did you have it fixed?
Not yet, Your Honor.
Why not?
Because she said she was going to pay for damages.
Okay. The next thing that you're suing her for is for an assault.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Tell me what happened.
She was doing a pickup at my house. I usually park across from her, so keep our distance. She crossed the street to come to me. She yelled at me because I gave her a check with her maiden name.
That's not true.
Just a second. You gave her a support check, and the last name that you put on the check was what?
Her single name, so Sanchez.
Not her married name.
Right. So I told her I was going to go get it. She didn't want to let me go.
That's not.
I had dropped off my son to her. She came at me in an aggressive way, so I took out my phone to record. As soon as she saw that I was going to record, she tried to grab my phone. I moved it. She didn't grab my phone, but she did hit me scratch me on the back. That was also caught on camera.
I'd like to see it. Oh, that's the check? Is that what's in the hand?
That's correct.
Yeah, you can't do that, Miss Marvea.
I know, but he was recording me. He's not allowed to record me.
Just a second. You don't understand. You can't do that. If he didn't have this record, you would tell me a whole different story. You can't do that.
He's not allowed to record me.
I'm telling you, you can't do that. You can't put your hands on somebody.
I'm not putting. He says he was recording me, and then I just like dropped like with my hands. He's like phone.
You don't seem to understand me. And if you don't say I understand you, that I can't put my hands on somebody, you may complain, madam, that he's not allowed to record you. And you may take that case someplace which they're going to dismiss. But you can't put your hands on another person, ever.
I didn't.
Yes, you did. You want to watch it again?
No, I didn't, but it was not like because he was recording me.
Is there something wrong with you?
No, I know, I understand
Is there
that.
something wrong with you? You can't put your hands on somebody.
He insulted me too. I had like texts that he texted me. Right now he's mad because child support is taking the money away for his account.
Well, I'm telling you, it sounds to me like you're a perpetual victim in your own mind.
And later today.
Your anger is directed at the wrong person, Miss Mello. I don't know the circumstances surrounding the death of Kenny, but your son was convicted by 12 people, and the judge found the circumstances of that conviction egregious enough to sentence him to 50 years to life. That's who your anger should be directed against your son.
For filing a false restraining order.
If he put his hands on you when you were defending himself, yes, of course, you have to defend yourself. He didn't put his hands on you at all. And you did come to him in an aggressive way. You came with the check. He gave, let's play it again, Sam. There's the check. He's getting your son. Now the son is out of the car, showing you the check with the wrong name. Why did you do it with the wrong name? You can't do that. You have photographs of the scratch?
I don't, Your Honor. I do have the police report.
I'd like to see it.
They granted me a temporary restraining order also.
Did it become final?
No, it didn't. They wasn't approved according to the judge. And I have the, when I filed also.
Just a second. According to the police report, you had 2 small scratches on your neck.
That's correct, Your Honor. But this is an ongoing thing when our exchanges are for our custody. And it's always in front of our son. And I don't think that's right.
Okay. Now, you want money for attorney's fees, lost wages for filing a false restraining order. What was the false restraining order?
Because he put my restraining order and it was like they denied him.
I just saw you assaulted.
But I mean, it's something behind that. Like, he insulted me too. I had like texts that he texted me that he didn't care. I was on the middle to the traffic that day.
Just a second. It's very simple. To pick up the child, you were late. He did, in fact, take the child from the car, and the child was walking towards you. He didn't withhold the child from you, gave you as he was supposed to, returned the child to you. You had no right to put your hands on him.
I know. But
Good.
He haven't paid me child support and babysitter for almost a year. Right now, he's mad because child support is taking the money away for his account.
Well, I'm telling you, it sounds to me like you're a perpetual victim in your own mind. Listen, going through a divorce is always a difficult situation. Going through a divorce when there's a child is even more difficult.
It is.
What you're supposed to do is love your child more than you hate each other. Now, what I have to ask you is, do you work?
Yes.
And you have a bank account?
Yes.
In what name is the bank account?
Partners.
What name is the bank account?
Ana Maravilla.
Now, you've been married 3 years and you're divorced. In the divorce, were you able to go back to your maiden name, or did you want to go back to your maiden name?
Because we haven't filed the divorce, I can.
Is the divorce final?
No.
Your Honor, it's just
Oh, just a second.
It's just-
so the divorce is not final yet?
No.
they just need to sign it. Their
I don't
backtrack.
care whether he has to
So-
sign it, whether somebody has to put a blood imprint on it. The question is the divorce final?
No.
No. Okay. So you, sir, not smart to put the child support check in the name Sanchez. It's irritating. You shouldn't do it. You still can't put your hands on somebody.
Okay.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. Your counterclaim is dismissed. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
I think she made the right choice. I'm like, the evidence speaks for themselves.
I mean, maybe he was with like before, but he was blaming me and I didn't.
She's obviously not all there. I'm trying to keep a good relationship with her because we have a son together.
Like working out, like get like co-parenting.
Hope that she can see that she's wrong and that she just moves on from this and gets a better relationship with me and her.
Mother's best advice always was, you can't put your hands on someone else's body. And I think that people really discount. They think they're in a relationship, they're in a marriage, their brother, their sister, whatever. You put your hands on somebody, you're going to pay for that.
Well, then it's an assault. And I don't know the law. I really don't know the law, which is something you're going to look up later, as to whether you're in a public place and you video someone in a public place and you're not doing it for commercial reasons, you're doing it sort of in a protective way. Sure. I don't know that there's any prohibition against that.
I'll look into it, but just
Yeah.
from my common sense, I feel when you're in a public place, at least my personal practice is to assume that anyone in a public place can
be
record
video.
you.
Yeah. They may not be able to use you for commercial purposes, but this was for protection purposes.
Sure.
Case 3055, Mello versus Pilgrim. All parties, please step forward.
Joy Mello is suing her former attorney, Larry Pilgrim, for the cost of a suit her son wore during his trial.
Miss Mello, I am certain that you are very sad.
Yes.
You have every right to be sad.
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, your son was tried and convicted of murder in 2021
That's correct.
and currently is serving a life sentence.
That is correct.
You had retained Mr. Pilgrim, who is an attorney, to represent him during that trial.
Yes.
Were you the person who paid him?
My family did collectively, but I worked 3 jobs to make payments until his money was paid in full.
Mr. Pilgrim represented him, I believe, from 2019 to 2021. Is that correct, sir?
Correct. September of 2019 until the trial in December of 21.
Who was he convicted of murdering?
The gentleman's name was Kenny. I'm sorry.
An
his last-
acquaintance?
I think
No.
they knew each other, yes, but they were rivals. It was a love interest, love triangle type of case.
Got it. This is what the case is about. It's not a difficult case. When the trial began, your son was allowed to wear civilian clothes rather than prison attire to court, and you went out and bought him clothes for about $700. And according to you, you asked Mr. Pilgrim, when the trial was over, to please get the clothes. And Mr. Pilgrim, according to you, assured you he would get the clothes back to you, and you never got the clothes back.
Never.
And Mr. Pilgrim says, you know, once prisoner is convicted and they go back from the courtroom, they take these clothes. He doesn't know what happens to them. And they went probably into a large room where people who are similarly situated to your son, but who don't have a mother to buy them clothes, can go in and choose something to wear in court other than an orange jumpsuit. He has no idea where the clothes are, correct?
That's correct.
How tall is your son?
5'10", 10.5.
How tall are you?
5'10".
Yeah, how much does he weigh?
About 190,
Yeah, and you?
190 pounds.
Do I have to say? More than 190.
You don't have his clothes, do you? This is not a very difficult case. This is a case about being sad and mad at the wrong person. So I want you to tell me on what you base your case that he is responsible for the clothes that your son wore.
I gave the clothes to Mr. Pilgrim. I purchased them at his
Gave them to him.
request, gave him the clothes. When he didn't return them, I went to the sheriff's department. I asked what the procedure was. They said the attorney in question is to pick up the clothes. That's his responsibility. I wrote a
you know
letter.
that you know that you can't tell me that.
Oh.
I'm just telling you that because
Yes, ma'am.
that's hearsay.
Yes, ma'am. But
You
I
went to
wrote
the
a letter
sheriff's
to the
department.
judge.
You went to the sheriff's department. Somebody told you it was the lawyer's responsibility. I actually have never heard that.
Okay. And I wrote a letter to the judge, the trial judge, who told me.
Don't tell me what the
it's in
trial
the-
judge
I have
told
it.
you.
I have it.
I would like to
The
see
letter.
It. I would like to see. Don't give me a whole bunch of stuff.
I'll give you the letter that I wrote to the judge and his response.
Fine. Okay, the judge was very nice.
Very nice.
Very nice to answer you. It seems that your family should have bigger fish to fry than these clothes. Judge says this matter has been researched and it was determined that your son's clothing was returned to Conflict Criminal Defenders Coordinator by the Sheriff's Department. Please reach out to that office.
And I did.
And?
They told me
You
that
can't tell me what they told you. If you have an official correspondence, I'll read it.
No, I do not.
Okay.
I only have, again, the procedure.
No, there's no procedure. You were told by the court. You reached out to them.
Yes.
This is an official
They said
document.
they didn't know where
so
my.
that-
Oh, I can't tell you that they didn't tell me. They told me they had no idea that all the clothes went in one big bag.
I don't care where they went. He doesn't have your son's clothes. How tall is your son?
5'10", 10 and a half.
So he's 5'10" and a half. How tall are you?
5'10".
Yeah, how much does he weigh?
Now?
No, then.
About 190,
Yeah, and you?
190 pounds.
Do I have to say? More than 190.
You don't have his clothes, do you?
No, certainly not.
Mr. Pilgrim, because this is all a matter, in my view, looking at Miss Mello, and she appears to be a very nice lady. When something sad happens like this, you have various emotions, and very often you choose the wrong target for your anger. In this case, a lot of time was spent, over $700 worth of clothes, for a young man who's serving 50 to life for murder. You have other children, Miss Mello?
Yes, I do.
How many other children do you
I have 4 other children. My daughter, she's a witness. And the clothes, actually, my sons could have worn them.
It's possible. It's not his responsibility. The judge told you where to go.
He told me where the clothes went.
He doesn't know where the clothes went. I would actually be willing to wager an awful lot that he doesn't have your clothes.
That's who I gave them to.
No, you gave them to your son. He was the conduit between you and your son. The last person who you saw wearing those clothes was your son.
That's correct.
Okay, so after that, you don't know what happened to them. You may have given it to them, just like if you walked into a courtroom and handed them to Kevin, and then you didn't see them again. Say, Kevin, I gave you the clothes. Well, he gave them to whom they were designed to be given. That doesn't mean Kevin's responsible if you don't get your clothes back. That's the same thing with Mr. Pilgrim. Your anger is directed at the wrong person, Miss Mello. I don't know the circumstances surrounding the death of Kenny, but your son was convicted by 12 people. And the judge found the circumstances of that conviction egregious enough to sentence him to 50 years to life. That's who your anger should be directed against your son, not him.
But I'm not angry. I just want my money for the clothes that I spent.
You're not going to get it from him. He's not responsible for your clothes. Cross it off your list after 2-3 years. That's $700. Cross it off because you don't know where the clothes are. They were on some other prisoner who had to appear in court for robbery and assault and who didn't have a nice enough mother to buy him clothes. So he got your clothes, or they were donated to a parish, or they were donated someplace else. Mr. Pilgrim is not responsible for the clothes. The last person who you saw in possession of the clothes was your son.
Correct.
Goodbye. Case is dismissed.
This court is adjourned.
I'm disheartened because the amount that I spent on my son's clothes, and I did give them to the lawyer.
You know, it was sad for her and her whole family, the whole incident.
He should have been responsible to retrieve my property.
And I agree with the judge that I think she just had some misdirected anger.
You know, I think just the takeaway from this case is that people have an easier time dealing with the emotion of anger than sadness. And we see it all the time. You know, if somebody passes away, the grief can overwhelm you. But if you can find a target for your anger, anger is the easier emotion to deal with, because the plaintiff in this case seemed like an intelligent, put-together lady. Certainly the family came together. I'm certain that this lawyer was not inexpensive. But the bottom line is that she doesn't have the companionship of this son anymore, because I can't think of any other reason that over 2 years you maintain this sort of vendetta for used clothing. So lady has to put her anger where it belongs, which is the person who committed a murder and who not only ruined his own life, but probably impacted his whole family. Because that's what happens when you...
I'm scared. He is crazy. He is really, really crazy.
Would it be a fair statement that you did, in fact, punch her in the mouth?
She grabs me on my shirt, and she pulls me into the house and starts punching me.
Wow.
I was like, you know what? That's it. And I started going back at with her.
It was nasty. Did hear your daughter testify that at some point he got up and she went to throw a punch at him and missed.
Right.
And then he punched her, and he continued to punch her. You did hear that?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Okay, now I'm going to see a video.
Just press play.
The line is hitting me. I have no phone. He took my phone. He took everything, and I'm helpless. So I'm trying to get out of here, but I need proof. This is proof. He can go on me. I have blood everywhere. I have blood everywhere. Oh my God. I'm scared. I'm scared, dude. He is crazy. He is really, really crazy.
Okay. Would it be a fair statement, Mr. Clarence, that you did, in fact, punch her in the mouth?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I want you to tell me, because I see she's injured, her mouth is injured. I want you to tell me in your own voice what precipitated that, because that's a nasty hit in the mouth.
So when we flipped over the couch, I stood up, and she says that she pushed me off, but she actually reached her hands up and grabbed me by the testicles. And that's when I punched her. Right after punching her, she let go. I ran to the door. When I ran to the door, she followed behind me with a car battery. She picked it up and she tossed it in my direction, which caused for me to have an injury to my hand.
You have photographs of that?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
That's not true. There's the battery.
This was taken a couple days afterwards when the
By
swelling
whom?
went down.
By whom?
By me.
Is that the only injury that you sustained?
No, ma'am. I also from when she was choking me with my work lanyard. I also have pictures of my neck that was taken that next morning.
I'd like to see it.
Untrue.
Don't speak. Don't speak. You're talking about this cut?
Yes, ma'am.
And where was that?
That's on my neck. That was right here, across the front.
Oh, I see. Okay. Go ahead.
So when we were tussling, so she threw the car battery at my hand. I looked down at my hand. I look at the broken doorknob. And when I'm looking at the broken doorknob, I look back up.
Which doorknob is?
The front door. Well, from when I grabbed the door, and when she tossed it, it hit my hand and slammed the doorknob down.
Okay.
So I look down at my hand and I see nothing but white inside of my hand. My hand was bleeding. Well, was about to start bleeding, but I saw the white, I saw the bone, I saw everything. So I looked up and I was like, what did you do? Are you crazy? And at that point, she says, I don't care anymore. She grabs me on my shirt and she pulls me into the house and starts punching me. Oh. At that point, when she starts punching me, I was like, you know what? That's it. And I started going back at with her.
No.
After punches were exchanged, I left.
Judge, those are the punches on the video that he did.
Just a second. I saw that she had an injury. He acknowledges that he hit her in the mouth.
So what I want to also add to that, because I saw him that same morning, I talked to him. He claimed at 7 o'clock in the morning he was on his way to a funeral. I told him, I said, well, look, I just spoke with my sister. I'm going by and get the kids some stuff. Don't come to the apartment. He shows up, nothing wrong. I didn't see a scratch anywhere. And I asked him, why are you here? Well, I'll just come let you know that I filed a police report. Why are you here?
Shh, just a second. So he filed a police report. Can I see a copy of that police report? Do you have it?
I do not have a copy of the police report.
So after he told you that he filed a police report, you went back to your sister's house. I assume you got...
No, I hadn't went to my sister's house. So my sister called me.
To go get things... Just a second. Your sister called you and told you that your daughter was there with your grandchildren.
Right.
Could you go and pick up things for them?
Right.
So you drove over to the apartment where they had lived together.
Right.
He came.
Right.
Said, I've just filed a police report against your daughter.
Right.
Then you went to your sister's house and you decided to go to the emergency room of the hospital.
Yes.
And then you filed a police report, or your daughter did.
We didn't file it at the hospital.
No, I didn't say at the hospital. Subsequently, you filed a police report.
Correct.
Do you have a copy of that police report?
I have my affidavit.
No, I don't want an affidavit. I want
we should have
a copy of the police report.
Let me see. That's it.
Okay, Kevin.
Alongside with my injuries that...
I saw your injury. Well, this police report, the charge is assault of a family member impeding breathing.
Yes.
And the affidavit reads, defendant, on or about February 20th, did then and there unlawfully, intentionally, and knowingly cause bodily injury to Safari Williams, the complainant, with whom the defendant had a dating relationship, by impeding the normal breathing and circulation of blood by applying pressure to the complainant's throat. Okay.
So right here, I have a copy of the motion to dismiss, which shows that they dropped the impeding breath, showing that I did not choke her.
That we know. The case was dismissed. Do you have a copy of the visitation order? You don't have joint custody, because you indicated you had joint custody.
We have joint custody now.
When were you granted joint custody?
August 1st.
Was that after the mediation?
After the mediation, yes, ma'am.
And Ms. Williams, did you consent to the joint custody? Or did the mediator, after the trial, recommend joint custody?
Yes, I did consent to it.
You did? And that was the mediator's recommendation?
Correct.
Okay. The only thing I have to ask you, Mr. Clarence, is for what period of time from the 20th of February, was it until August or October that you didn't see the children?
So actually, it wasn't actually until that June. Orders were signed October. She failed to sign the children up for the domestic relation office for the supervised visitation. She failed to sign them up for another 6 months.
Not true.
So it was an additional 6 months?
An additional 6 months.
Okay.
Judge, during that time where he was saying that he was trying to see the kids, he wasn't paying child support.
I don't care whether he was or whether he wasn't. I wouldn't pay child support if I had an order that said I couldn't see my children. Do you understand what I'm saying?
But it wasn't one of those keep the children type things away. It definitely wasn't. And when
Miss Williams, Miss Williams, I'm done with this case. I got it. This is not a I say, you say. This is
because I went into the apartment and he had tape. He had electrical tape on the door. He kept my door there all night.
I want you to not speak. I want you to listen.
He wasn't
there. I'm just a second. Sit. Now you don't get it. So you were at the park.
She came up to fight me. That is not true.
It seems as if somebody was kicking somebody.
That was me. I kicked her.
That was your fault?
Yes, ma'am.
Love a person who tells the truth all the time.
In for bailiff Kevin Roscoe, and law clerk Alexi Mincer is sitting in for law clerk Sarah Rose. Honesty Butler is suing her former friend. Walteria Flowers, for the cost of a car and stolen property.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Good morning, Judge. Case 3074, Butlers versus Flowers.
Thank you. Miss Butler, how long have you and Miss Flowers been friends?
We became friends around the summer of 2022.
How?
We both lived in South Carolina, and then we both moved to Jacksonville, so it's kind of like we were just friends.
Did you see each other often before you decided that you wanted to buy her car?
Yes, ma'am. She used to come and pick me up all the time, and then I used to see her around the town that we lived in before we moved back to Jacksonville.
You didn't have a car?
No, ma'am.
Did you have a driver's license?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever have a car?
Yes, ma'am.
What happened to it?
I wrecked it.
You broke it?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you do that?
It was my fault. It was a failure to yield.
Oh, so there was a crash?
Yes, ma'am.
That was your fault?
Yes, ma'am.
On what day did you have a conversation with Miss Flowers about purchasing her car?
It was December 12th.
Of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of car was it?
It's a 2010 Chevy Malibu.
When did you purchase it?
It was 2021, March 2021.
And why were you getting rid of it?
Because I had another car and I was getting another car too, so.
How much did you pay for it?
I paid $8,000.
Lexi, would you look up a 2010 Chevy Malibu?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, 2-door, 4-door, I don't even know how many doors.
4-door.
How many miles did it have on it when you purchased it?
It was 130.
Now, interesting, because a year later, you agreed to sell the defendant that same car for how much?
I agreed to sell it to her for $4,500, but I was selling it as is.
Just a second.
Okay.
Go back. We're going to get to as is in a second.
Okay.
That's not the final price you agreed on with her based upon these records.
No, ma'am.
What was the final price you agreed?
It was $4,000.
Is that right?
No, ma'am.
It was $3,500.
Yes, ma'am.
So the ultimate price that you agreed to sell the car for was $3,500.
No, ma'am. It was $4,000.
Show me. Show me 35.
Ma'am.
Private party, fair condition, between $6,000 to $7,800 for fair
6,000 to 78.
6,000 to 78.
Thank you. Okay, well, it was 4,000, but because of things wrong with the car, you said I'll take off $500 from the original price because there were more things wrong with the car than she originally thought. Is that what happened?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, it sounds to me, even at $4,000, you got a pretty good deal.
Yes, ma'am.
Because of what Lexi has told me about the current value of the car, which is the low end, $6,000, and at $3,500, even I would buy that car. It was a great value. This is what your case is about. It is your claim that you made all but $100 worth of the payments
Yes, ma'am.
on the car, and then the defendant, unbeknownst to you, came to your house at night and repossessed the car.
Yes, ma'am.
You say you only owed her $100.
Yes, ma'am.
Defendant says you owed her $7,000, but I think she's relying on the $4,000 figure. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's where the discrepancy is, and you took the car back.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Part of that had to do with, I gather, the two of you having an argument.
Yes, ma'am.
We fought.
Two of you having an argument. I'll get to that in a second. So you have a counterclaim.
Yes, ma'am.
You want the money back that you put into the car.
Well, not actually what I paid for the car and also the belongings that was in the car.
Okay, let's get rid of the belongings. She did have some stuff in the car.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have it with you?
Yes, ma'am. I have some of it with me, like her debit card and her purse that she had in there.
Okay, and what about the iPad?
She never had an iPad in there.
Okay.
I took a picture of everything.
Okay, Cassandra, would you go over there, please? Take all of that stuff and move it over to the other table. Those cards belong to her?
Oh, this was my ID.
Okay. So now you want back what you paid for the car.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant says you didn't finish paying for it. She had every right to repossess it. Let's take care of the car first.
Yes, ma'am.
How long did you drive the car?
From December of 2022 to May of 2023.
The beginning of December?
No, ma'am.
Around the middle, like.
All right,
My
so-
first payment was on the 12th.
Okay. When did you repossess the car?
I got it June 4th.
So let's make it January, February, March, April, May. So you had the car 5 months.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have the car now.
Yes, ma'am.
So she owed you really $100 when you took it back. Who paid the insurance on this car?
Everything was still in her name.
So she paid for the insurance. Is that right? Did you have insurance on the car or not?
No, ma'am.
No. Let me understand this. She's driving around with a car that's in your name that doesn't have insurance on it.
Yes, ma'am.
Where is the car now? Can I see her photographs, please?
Marvius was also injured. That's my arm and her toe.
These are the injuries that you're showing me?
The toe photo is Marvius, my partner, and the arm, that's me.
Don't buy the photos, madam.
I have the scar right here.
Yeah, and
So-
don't buy that photo. This photo was a result of this date.
No, it all happened the same day that we're referring to.
Why are you showing me a picture of her toe?
Because when the glass broke and it was flying, somehow her toe got cut.
That's not
That
true.
is what happened.
Just a second. What other evidence do you have to show me with regard to this injury that took place on that date?
That was mainly what I took. The police told me to take pictures of it because they already had her on file from a previous incident of putting her hands on me.
If she put her hands on you before, why didn't you
Not
move?
making any sense.
Shh. There's an indication here that there was listen to me.
True, but
If
it's
she
like,
put her...
that's the only place that I could afford at the moment.
But you weren't paying anything. You weren't working. You weren't doing nothing.
I'm done. You're finished. You have a counterclaim. Your counterclaim's dismissed. You, sir, you had a big fight with her because you moved in and you weren't paying rent. You hadn't paid rent since July. So if she's annoyed with you, there's absolutely no basis for her to put her hands on anybody. But you got into a scuffle that day. Did you damage her computer?
No, sir, I didn't.
I believe that you didn't damage her computer.
I didn't.
Shh, listen to me. I believe that the computer may have gotten damaged during the course of this fight where you and your girlfriend were there, right? Just a second. You and your girlfriend were there. See, I have a big problem with you because I know that he's a squatter. But you led me to believe that you had to give this house back to the bank as a result of his not paying rent. That's what you led me to believe in your answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. And that was not true. When somebody tells me something that's not true, I find their testimony always a little suspect. Do you understand? He was injured. There's no question he was injured with shards of glass. Police saw the injury, and he has pictures bleeding on that date. That's a result of what happened that you did to him. And you may have been angry. Was your friend angry as well? Because you both ran off.
This is what happened, okay?
Sure, I'd like to hear you try to tell me what happened.
The laptop was not damaged due to the scuffle. He was already banging on it, and then he poured Pepsi on it. I had to.
Did he pour Pepsi on the computer before or after you stabbed him with the glass?
No, this is before.
I don't believe a word of that.
Ma'am, this is the truth. And I literally walked outside
Can I
so
say
that I
something?
could get some help.
Yeah.
I have to call my girlfriend, and at that time,
No, you don't
she
call
was
your
not
girlfriend,
there.
you call the police.
Every time that the police have been called, they have not helped me.
Excuse me. No,
Why does
Your
that more
girlfriend's
right
not
than
going to
I
help
do?
you. You're trying to talk over me. Your
needed
girlfriend's
someone
not going to
there
help
with
you.
me. I had no family
So
in
when
Atlanta.
on the day of the incident, the police were wondering, like, where was she so they can get...
Don't tell me what the police were wondering, sir. You haven't paid rent in a place for 7 months. Are you still working fast food?
Yeah, I'm working now.
Did you tell me initially when I asked you a question, and we can have Whitney read it back, when I asked you where you were living, you said you were living with a friend.
Yeah, because I
Just
recently...
a second. You were living with a friend, but that's not true because when we tried to contact you, the contract address that you gave us was, that's how I knew you lived there and that you weren't telling me the truth. Do you understand?
Yeah, I said I
Do you-
recently moved
no,
from the...
no, you didn't say that.
I recently have moved from that location, from that home.
Goodbye. Your case is dismissed. So's yours. Goodbye. You deserve each other.
This court is adjourned.
wasn't squatting.
He only paid to move in, and I didn't get anything after that month of July.
Well, how am I supposed to pay rent if I was told I could be there?
Because that's what Gen Z babies do.
Squatters tend to have more rights than the landlords, it seems, these days. I mean, he moved in, he paid one payment to move in and hold the spot, and never paid again after that. And like you said, has been there for 7 months. She was not honest about, you know, in the papers it was a little bit unclear, or actually it was very clear, just inaccurate, that the reason that she had to leave this place was solely due to him not paying rent. She made it seem like she had to give it over to the bank due to some lack of payment.
Because she lost her job and...
Exactly. So a lot about the lost job, a lot about all of this, but I mean, I just wonder who's paying utilities on the house now. He's been living there for 7 months. It's owned by the bank now, I believe.
I think it's owned by the bank.
And I don't think they're paying for his water and heating. So I wonder
somebody's
what's going
paying
on.
for them.
Someone.
Case 3128, Armstrong versus Rada. All parties, please come forward.
Cherie Armstrong is suing 18-year-old horse trainer Raven Rada for the return of a horse.
You folks are all interested in horses.
Yes.
You have several. How many?
Approximately 30. It changes during foaling season because some of them are born and some of them go to new homes.
What do you use them for?
We raise them and show them. So the stallions are often bred, and then we show the babies and the brood mares along with the stallions, and then sell the babies off to prospective show horse homes.
And how long have you been doing this?
My family has been doing it since I was 8 years old. I personally am doing it since I was about 14. So I'm 30 now, so it's been quite a while.
Okay. What about you? What's your interest in horses?
My interest in horses is a lot based on Mustangs, which I go and adopt Mustangs each year, train them, and sell them during the shows over the summer.
Okay. So this is what the case is about. Miss Armstrong, you sold in October of last year 2 horses to the defendant. A 3-month-old,
yes,
which you sold to her for $3,000.
Yes.
And a yearling, which I assume is a year old.
Yes, Your Honor.
For $1,000. And it is your claim that you weren't fully paid for the horses. She didn't pay you anything and then at some point sent you $275, she says. But that you felt as if she was neglecting them and you went to the place where she was keeping the horses and took back the 3-month-old. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
When did you take the baby back?
That would be October 23rd.
And when had you made the sale?
That was October 3rd.
So 20 days later, you took the baby back?
Yes, Your Honor. There were a cumulative amount of events. When she took the horses, she was supposed to make a down payment that day. We had the horses loaded in the trailer, and I said, okay, how much are you putting down today? And she said, well, I won't have anything until Friday, and this was a Wednesday. And so I said, okay, well, I'm not normally comfortable with letting people take anything off property before it's paid in full, but I've known these guys for well over a decade, and so I thought it would be okay. The horses were loaded, and she said, oh, my farrier is gonna meet me at home to do their feet, because they were a little bit overdue, and they kind of needed done, and I was like, well, they're in the trailer, they're gonna get their feet done. I guess I can wait for a payment until Friday. Friday didn't come yet because Thursday I got a message that she had put those 3 new horses in a herd of established Mustangs who attacked the yearling, trampled her, and split her leg open.
Just a second.
Yes.
So far, is that correct?
No.
Cherie Armstrong claims 18-year-old horse trainer Raven Rada refuses to return her horse. Raven is countersuing, claiming Cherie wrongfully retrieved one of her horses.
Well, tell me how the yearling got trampled. You don't seem to deny that that happened.
No, she did get trampled.
Okay. So, and she got trampled by what?
A quarter horse. And
that was on your property?
Yes.
Your Honor, it's not quite trampled.
Just a second.
Sorry.
And it was bad enough, Miss Rada, that you called the plaintiff.
Yes.
What did you say to her when you called her?
That the quarter horse was able to roll the paint horse and created an injury.
Did you tell her how the horse was injured? What did you tell her about the injury?
That the injury was bad enough where it was bleeding and it would need a vet.
Why did you call her?
Because in her contract, she stated that she would like to know when a horse gets injured, when one of the horses would get injured.
Do you have a contract?
Yes, I do have.
I'd like to take a look at it. And is it a contract that you signed?
That we both signed.
Good. I'd like to see it.
I'm trying to find it, sir. Here you go.
Your Honor.
Just wait. Well, I don't understand the bill of sale. Actually, I understand that it's a nice contract and that it was for $4,000. Payments scheduled every what?
It was supposed to be a time frame, but when she came to get the horses, she said, well, I'm not sure on the time frame yet. I can let you know Friday when I give you the money.
Okay, buyer will provide the seller with a down payment of $0.
Yep, because I filled it out with her on Wednesday when she picked them up.
So you filled this out on the 3rd?
Yes.
Well, you were supposed to make your first payment on Friday. What happened?
The vet, when we had the vet come out.
So what?
I went to go save it so I could pay her back for paying the vet bill, and I was never able to do that.
Well, then you defaulted on the contract. When did you make this first alleged payment of $275?
It was October 23rd when she went and got the colt.
Did you give her a check or
a
okay.
check?
May I see it?
Yes.
No, this says it's for the vet bill. Just a minute. Did she pay the vet bill for your horse?
Yes.
This isn't payment for any horse. It says clearly vet bill.
We agreed upon at the time of that payment that it would go towards the horse.
Why? Your contract specifically says it does not. And it specifically says vet bill on it. That's what it says. Okay, so let me try to put this in perspective now. Now you retrieved the baby horse.
So when...
Just a second.
I'm sorry.
You went and got the baby horse because you felt as if there was either trouble with the horses or she hadn't paid for them. Either way, she hadn't paid for them. That's the easiest thing that I have to address because she hadn't paid for anything.
Yes.
Now, it's 5 months later. She took back the baby and you kept the yearling. That's a yes or a no, not a sad look. And did you pay for the yearling?
No.
Well, then it's not your horse, right?
Yes.
Then she gets it back. That's what you want, right?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm not 100% sure that the...
Just a minute. You don't have to go into a whole thing. She bought horses. She didn't pay for the horses. She gets them back. That's easy.
Yes.
Right? Okay, fine. How long will it take you to pick up the horse?
We could come as soon as we get home.
So within 5 days?
Yes, Your Honor.
On 24 hours' notice. You want to say something?
I do.
Sure. I assume you're her father.
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
Okay.
I did place a lien on the horse because I have at least $750 into this horse.
Somebody allowed you to file a lien on the horse?
You may do that in Idaho, ma'am.
What?
Ma'am, I contacted the brand inspector myself, and there cannot be a lien placed on the horse unless I have been served a copy of that lien and the brand inspector has been served a copy on that lien, and there is nothing on record that has the last name Rada or Armstrong anywhere near it.
She's picking up the horse within 5 days.
Okay,
I
Your
don't
Honor.
care if you have money in it for vet bills, feed. Read the contract. Did you read the contract?
Yes,
Did you
Your
read
Honor.
the contract? All right. The
I would
contract
have
is
never signed it.
specifically clear that once the horse leaves her property, the buyer is responsible for all vets, feed, care, shoes, whatever it is. That was her responsibility. She didn't pay for the horse. And if she came to her daddy and said, could you help me pay for these expenses? Well, she's 18 years old.
Yes, Your Honor.
Sue her.
Okay, Your Honor.
Within 5 days, on 24 hours' notice, the plaintiff is picking up the yearling. Now, there is sort of a ridiculous counterclaim. You want $3,000 for the return of the baby. You really don't want that. You know, there's no legal basis for you to have that. You didn't pay for it.
Yes, sure.
And you were supposed to pay for it. Okay, you have my order. The order is that within 5 days you pick up the yearling. Your counterclaim is dismissed. You want the return of the baby. You didn't pay for the baby. The baby stays where it is. Thank you very much. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
He had messaged me saying, the little filly needs to go to the vet. My horse rolled her, got jealous, attacked and rolled her.
She managed to roll it because they were sitting there playing around.
I think that she loves her animals very much. I just think she's a little bit underinformed on some of the basics with introducing new horses and handling some emergency medical care.
Probably take more caution and separate them a little bit more.
I didn't get the feeling, Sarah, that that young girl was devastated by the decision. I don't know why.
Yeah, I feel like you made it pretty cut and dry. We didn't get into any of the nitty-gritty about how the horse came versus how it left. It was a very simple contractual, you owed the money, you didn't pay, the horse goes back, period. And so I think maybe that's what removed the emotion
from it.
Out of it. It's just she had no excuse. She knew she didn't pay for it, but I think it was pretty cut and dry at the end of the day. You bought a horse, but didn't buy it.
Right,
So
didn't pay for it.
Yeah.
For rent, a security deposit, and stolen property.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2066, Michelonius versus Robertson.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Robertson, how long had you been living in your apartment prior to renting a room to the plaintiff?
I believe it was about 3 years.
You had been living there by yourself?
No, I had roommates previously.
When did the plaintiff move in?
I believe that it was January 1st of 2017.
2017?
It may have been 2018. It was the first, I forget.
It was 2018.
That's correct.
How long did he live there with you?
He lived there with me until September of 2021.
So far, that correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
So now let me understand this lawsuit. Mr. Robertson lived in his apartment for 3 years. You answered an ad for a room. You lived with him in his home as a tenant from January 2018 until September 2021.
Correct.
At that time, there was a dispute. We will get into that in a moment. There was a dispute. During part of that time, Mr. Michelonius, you did not pay rent. Is that correct? During COVID?
That's correct.
For what period of time did you not pay rent?
Well, there was, I had...
Give me how many months you did not pay rent?
There was...
You don't have to think out loud. How many months between January of 2018 and September 2021 did you not pay rent? Give me a number. That's a number.
4 months. Some months I paid partial rent. But there were 4 months that I did not pay any rent.
4 months, no rent. And how many months did you pay partial rent?
I believe that would have been 4 or 3.
So for 7 months, you did not pay your rent. Paying partial rent is not rent. Now, my question to you, Mr. Robertson, is this is an apartment that you rent?
Yes.
Or rented?
Mm-hmm.
From January 2018 until September 2021, was your rent current?
My portion of the rent was current.
What do you mean your portion?
My portion that I was responsible for.
No, it's your apartment. You're responsible for the whole thing, Mr. Robertson.
Yes.
Okay? You're responsible for the whole rent. And if what you chose to do was to say to your landlord, listen, I have a roommate, I'm just paying my portion of the rent, my roommate isn't paying his,
right,
then your rent wasn't paid.
Yes.
And I assume that your rent wasn't paid for the same period of time that he didn't pay you his portion of the rent.
Yes.
Was it for any period of time greater than that? Greater than the 4 months or the 7 months that he didn't pay rent?
I went through my bank statements and they went back until, I believe, July of 2020. And that's as far back as my bank app lets me go.
Okay.
There were more months than that I received partial or no rent payments for.
From him?
From him.
I'm asking you about your landlord. If you didn't pay your landlord, you telling me your landlord didn't file an eviction against you?
There were several months that he did pay his full rent, and so that would have meant that the entire rent for that period.
Well, I know, but if the rent was not paid, did your landlord ever serve you an eviction notice?
No, there was an eviction moratorium in Alameda County at that point for unpaid rents due to COVID.
Gotcha. So that would it be a fair statement that you both took advantage of that? He took advantage of it, and so did you.
I wouldn't say that it was me trying to take advantage. I would just say it was my inability to cover the entire rent.
Your portion as well as his?
My portion was always covered.
Your portion was covered?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Mr. Michelonius, when did you move from month and year?
It was September of 2021.
And when did you leave there?
I believe it was the 3rd or 4th week of August of 2021.
So you both left the place at about the same time.
I left involuntarily, but yes.
Well, you left involuntarily, because that's what this case is about. Okay, so now I have the structure of it. Do you understand the structure of it?
I understand.
You understand the structure of it? I just want to make sure that people out there watching understand the structure of it. So you were the rentor, and you had an argument. It resulted in a protective order for somehow some genius put him out of his own apartment because of these protective. You weren't in the hospital for anything, were you, as a result of an assault? No.
No.
You have no medical records there of being treated for any injury.
It was a harassment.
Just a minute. Do you know my husband harasses me every day? Every day. I couldn't think of evicting him. I mean, you do other things. So the answer is, you were never treated for any illness. You were never treated for anxiety at a hospital as a result of this harassment. As a result of your allegations, let us say of harassment, Mr. Robertson was ejected from his own home, from which you had not been paying rent, your portion that you were supposed to pay contractually with him for months because of COVID. Am I getting this story right so far? I'm not finished yet, but so far, is there anything that I said was wrong?
I think that's pretty close. I mean,
okay, so that's pretty close. And now what you are seeking here is, should I say basically, and I hate that word, basically, but it's appropriate in this case. So all of those haters out there, she used basically, I don't care. It's appropriate here.
Mark Michelonis claims his former roommates, Christopher Robertson, owes for rent, a security deposit, and stolen property. Christopher is countersuing, claiming Mark owes him for rent.
Now, what you're claiming in your lawsuit is that after a review of the copy of the underlying lease, you found that you were paying the vast majority of the rent.
Correct.
And so you want a return of that money.
That's correct.
Under what theory in the law?
Well, basically that he defrauded.
No, now you can't use a basically.
Okay.
I want to know what theory is there in the law that says if I own a building and I lease to someone the whole building for $10,000, and then I find somebody who is prepared to pay me, and I have the first 2 floors of the building. Third floor is vacant. I find somebody who's willing to pay me $9,000 a month just for the top floor. That makes me a good business person. But unless there is something that prohibits him from doing that...
There is, Your Honor.
Show me.
There's a clause in the lease.
No, just show me.
Okay.
I'm a lawyer. I can read a lease.
So the sublease that I agreed to with him incorporates the entirety of this master
Just a second.
lease.
I'd just like to see it, please, sir. I'd just like to see it. I assume you've highlighted what you want me to read.
Correct.
Okay. So what you're pointing to is that the landlord, his landlord, was not advised that you were subletting.
No.
Well, that's why signed by every tenant.
So that was one of the things, because if you look at the second lease, the one that was altered by Christopher to remove those areas so I wouldn't be aware, or I wouldn't be able to enforce them, was because he moved his boyfriend in without getting my consent. And so it says in there that he needs written consent. I understand that that doesn't apply to me, but he thought it did. And so he used whiteout on the other lease that I gave to you to obfuscate those terms.
I don't know how to put this to you, sir, other than to say, let me backtrack. What kind of work do you do?
I'm a web developer.
You work for yourself or for a company?
I do. I'm an independent contractor.
How long have you been doing that?
2 years.
Prior to that, what were you doing?
I was a system administrator.
For whom?
For a small company in San Francisco.
How long did you work for them?
6 years.
So for 2 years, you were an independent web developer, and you're still an independent web developer.
Correct.
And that's how you support yourself.
Right.
So you work out of your home.
Right.
And you've been working out of your home, you said, the last 2 years since 2020. This is 2022 or 19.
Right.
What do you mean, right?
So it would have been.
When you moved in 2018, were you an independent contractor?
No, I was going to school.
You were going to school?
Right.
For what?
I went to,
Just a second, for what?
For web technologies. It was a program for web development technology.
Did you go in person?
Yes. It was an intensive.
For how long?
It was 3 months. It was 8 hours a day.
Okay, so you went to school for 3 months.
Right.
During what period of time?
January 2018 to end of March 2018.
Okay, and at that time you were living with the plaintiff?
Correct.
Okay, so you needed a room for that 3-month period. And after that time, you supported yourself by being your own boss, by developing websites.
It took me a while to find a job, but yes.
What do you mean it took you time to find a job?
The interview process to get work, I was interviewing, it was very hard to break into that industry.
And so what did you do?
So I started taking on independent work.
So you never actually got a job outside of the independent work that you did?
That's correct.
So you support yourself by doing web development out of your home?
Yes.
So you used the home that you were living in, that room that you were renting, for not only your personal business, but you operated a place of business out of your residence.
Okay.
What do you mean, okay?
Yes.
Yes. I just want you to see how ridiculous you are. You want $10,000 because you overpaid what you consider your fair share of the rent. That's not going to happen. You come here, you didn't pay rent for at least 7 months because of COVID. You were working according to you. You were a web developer, still are. It's 2022 because you have no other job other than being a web developer. You stopped paying rent. You moved out after he did, correct?
Well,
did you pay?
I'd like to correct
in the
something.
month that you lived there, when you had put him out of his house because you were
they were moving out. I did not put him out of the house.
I thought that was a protective order.
It was, but they were, and I put in the protective order that they were living with me, but they were moving, and so.
No. They were living with you. You were living with them.
Well, yeah, we were living together.
No. You were living with the defendant. He wasn't living with you. You were renting a place, although you weren't paying rent from him, and the underlying landlord wasn't getting his money, all of his money, because he wasn't getting your money. And what's coming to me is that somebody got stiffed with rent, and that would be the landlord who rented you your place where you were living, because you didn't pay him the whole thing. You didn't pay him the whole thing. And now you want me, you're asking me, to award you $10,000 for overpayment of rent.
Your Honor, could I clarify something? The times when I didn't pay rent, I was not working. It was during COVID, so the first couple months of the COVID lockdown, I lost all of my contracts, so I didn't have any money. And so I was using the COVID, there was a COVID process where you could, basically say that,
There's no basically in there, only I used it once.
So I did not have the money to pay rent. I was not just making money and not paying rent. I would not do that. I was broke. All of my contracts dried up because nobody had any money. I was working for small
So what are you
companies.
suing him for now? The government was very good to you. This is a very interesting America. It's a rent forgiveness, it's a rent moratorium. That doesn't mean the state where you live. What state do you live in?
California.
California. That doesn't mean the owner of this premises was given some sort of a break that they didn't have to pay for utilities, taxes, mortgage on the building, because it's used as a business. As far as I know, there wasn't a moratorium on that, but there was a moratorium on two seemingly able-bodied people to say to the landlord, I can't pay my rent. To add insult to injury, you think that I'm going to give you $10,000 because he charged you more than whatever the 3rd or 40% of your occupancy of the apartment, and he shouldn't have? That's not going to happen, sir. So forget it.
Mark Michelonis has accused his former roommate, Christopher Robertson, of overcharging for rent and keeping his property. Christopher is countersuing Mark for unpaid rent.
Now, you gave him a security deposit. That is part of your lawsuit.
Correct.
So I want you to forget the overpayment of rent because it is ridiculous.
Okay.
So now let's go to the security deposit part of your complaint. Did he give you a security deposit?
He did, Your Honor.
Now, he didn't pay rent because of this moratorium
Yes.
on rent. Did you get your security deposit back from the landlord?
I did.
How much?
I believe I got the total amount for the entire apartment, which was approximately $2,000.
And how much did Mr. Michelonis give you as a security deposit?
He gave me $1,250 for the security deposit plus a $300 pet deposit.
Sometimes the pet deposit is refundable. Did you get the pet deposit back?
I don't recall specifically if I got that back from the landlord.
But you did get back your entire security deposit, which included his $1,250.
Yes.
Okay.
That's correct.
Let's hold that in abeyance for a moment, because now I'm going to go to your counterclaim.
Sure.
I think that's all I have to deal with. Oh, and property taken without permission. Did you get that property back? There was some...
I did not.
What property was it?
There was a stone Buddha carving. There was some dishes, some glasses.
Oh, give me a break. Do you have a stone Buddha carving?
I have the stone Buddha carving. I have a small statuette, a rooster that is his, and a small metal.
Great. Would you pack those up?
Yes.
Do you live close to each other?
I haven't been able to because of our mutual restraining orders.
Fine. Do you know where your local precinct is?
Yes.
Where is it located?
I believe that the closest one would be downtown for me, downtown Oakland.
Okay. You'll find out before you leave today. In 5 days, drop it off at the local precinct.
Absolutely.
Let him know when, and he could go pick up his Buddha.
Yes, I don't want
Great.
bad in my home.
Terrific. Now, money owed for COVID debt is your counterclaim.
Yes.
Which is what?
It is a total of $55.35, I believe.
For what?
That is the unpaid rent.
But you didn't pay his rent, you just told me.
Right, and so this is the outstanding balance of the rent that he never paid that I'm responsible for as the master tenant.
Oh, no, you just told me that you got your security deposit back. If you got your security deposit back, sir, that means that the landlord is finished with you.
According to the law...
Not according to the law. If you got your security deposit back, the entire security deposit, the landlord has written it off, because otherwise he would have taken your security deposit if you owed him or her money. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's very simple.
I understand
it's
what you're
very
saying.
Simple.
I wish I could explain that to them in your...
Well...
in your manner.
I want to tell you something. I've been here a long time. If a landlord is owed $5,000,
yes,
he doesn't say, well, tenant owes me $5,000, but his apartment was clean. I'm going to give him back his $2,000 security deposit. That doesn't happen.
So
only in the land of Oz does that happen.
They might live there.
No, they might live there, but I don't live there. Okay. You owe him $1,250 for security deposit. This case is over. Your counterclaim's dismissed. We're done.
Court is adjourned.
Thank you very much.
I would just like to bring...
Bye.
Well, I was a little upset.
He's being a drama queen.
The clause in the lease was to prevent people from basically taking advantage of the fact that they've been living in a place for a long time and gouging rent for new tenants.
He said I was price gouging him because he was enough to pay more rent than he might have if he had done some more research.
They were trying to make it equal, and every place that I've lived in, there was always an equitable share of the rent. Like, no one was ever gouging anybody, so I felt that I was unjustly charged.
Well, I can't say it wasn't very satisfying to hear the judge call his claims ridiculous to his face.
Basically, he was leaving the front door open, making it so my dog could escape easily. He was filling the house up with smoke.
We both burned sage.
He was basically trying to get me riled up. He wanted me to move.
While I am disappointed that I won't be able to recover some of his COVID debt.
Basically, the moment that he was, it was inconvenient for me to be there, he tried to make my life miserable.
I'm glad that I will never have to see him again, and this is done.
I'm not living with roommates ever again. I've got my dog, and we're cool.
He was a nightmare, and I never have to see him.
Far be it from me to second guess another judge, but it would seem to me sort of outrageous unless there was some sort of a physical altercation. Why anyone, because he clearly was excluded from his house. He left first, and he said, involuntarily. Would anybody exclude
the original tenant?
The original
When I read the papers, I thought the same thing. I thought that was outrageous, that they would throw out the primary leaseholder on a lease in favor of his subtenant, which may or may not have been legal to begin with.
I can understand it if there was something more serious. But harassment, I just don't understand it. But
I didn't know.
Mine is not to wonder why. Mine is but to do what I do. And I don't think that when you come into a court where you have at least participated marginally in a giveaway, to then come in and say, you know what, there's a technical thing. He wasn't supposed to charge me this much rent because I didn't occupy this much of the apartment, whatever. Ridiculous when you didn't pay rent for 7 months anyway. It made my job a lot easier.
Pajaro is suing his ex-girlfriend, Gigi Strackman, for a plane ticket, credit card charges, and a stolen cat.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2016, Pajaro versus Strackman.
Mr. Perari, it is your claim that the defendant, who lived with you for a brief period of time, owes you money for a plane ticket and for her unauthorized use of your credit card.
That's correct.
I don't know what the defense is to this, except that I think her defense is that you were just stupid and she took advantage of you. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm actually trying to figure it out. But you met the defendant, according to you, on an online dating app and started a conversation with her on what date?
So we met in March 2020 on a dating app for LGBTQ people. We started dating in March 2020. 4 months later, she moved in with me, which I know is not smart, but...
July?
Yes, in July 2020.
And where had she been living?
She had been living in Florida.
And where do you live?
I live in Seattle, Washington.
Did you send her money for a plane ticket? How did she get to you?
She had money herself at that time to cover the cost of moving.
So she moved and it was her own funds that she used to move?
Yeah, the swindling hadn't started yet.
You must have had some substantial What is this? What is this look? I don't know what this look is.
Oh, it's just the verbiage.
Okay, well, let me go back and let me start with you, okay? Because there's only one theatrical person here in this room, and that's me. Do you understand?
I do.
Yes. I get paid the big bucks to be theatrical. Okay, so Miss Strackman, you lived in Miami. He lived in Seattle, Washington. You decided to move in with him. What kind of work were you doing in Seattle?
I was a video editor, but when COVID happened, everyone kind of lost their jobs.
And what arrangements did you make with him when you were going to move in with him?
He told me that if I gave up my life in Florida, I had a very lovely apartment, lots of friends.
You had a lovely apartment, you had
I
nice
gave up
friends,
everything to
but
go
no
and
job.
move to Seattle.
Okay, so he said, move to Seattle and I'll take care of you.
Yes.
That's what you say in here.
Yes.
And that was in July of 2020.
Yes.
Is that about what you said to her?
No. The reason she moved in, again, it was 4 months after we started dating, which normally...
Had you seen her during those 4 months?
We had Zoom.
That's either yes or no.
No.
No, you had no physical contact with her?
No.
Okay.
But because we were in lockdown and we were both pretty isolated, it made sense. Her lease was ending and things moved really fast between us, so we decided to try it together. Yeah.
Okay. Was there any discussion about what she was going to do once she got to Seattle?
Yeah, so as she stated, she was a freelance video editor, and she said she was going to potentially have more work in Seattle and continue to try and find gigs for that or find other employment, drive for Uber Eats.
But she came to you and she wasn't working?
She wasn't working, no.
Okay. And the relationship with her ended in what month?
It ended in February 2021.
So it was a relatively short live-in period, maybe 6-7 months.
Right, because of her.
Did she ever work when she was with you?
Not that I
Just a second, I'm going to ask her. Did you ever have full-time gainful employment during the time that you lived with the plaintiff?
I did not. I was not supposed to.
I didn't ask you. I don't ask to be editorialized. I asked you, did you ever work full-time?
No.
Did you ever work part-time?
No.
Okay. Then there came a time, according to what I read in both of your papers, that he purchased a plane ticket for you to go back to Miami. That would be a yes.
That is correct. You're
And what month was that?
That was in February of 2021.
And tell me, in your own words, what you told him as to why you wanted to go to Miami, because he wasn't going with you.
He was not going with me.
Tell me what you told him as to why you needed to go to Miami.
I told him that I needed to visit my sister.
And does your sister live in Miami?
Yes.
Had you been there to visit her before?
I had, yeah.
While you were living with him?
No.
No.
I didn't travel.
So this was the first time you wanted to go and visit your sister?
Yes.
Okay, was there any specific reason that you gave him as to why you wanted to go visit your sister?
She was sick and I wanted to be there.
But did you tell him what she was sick with?
Yeah, it was COVID.
Does she live alone?
At the time, yes.
You know, it's not going to be easy. It's going to get harder. Now, the plaintiff seems like a relatively intelligent human being. Hands off hips. If somebody I lived with say, I want to go and see, unless it was a young child, maybe in a school or something that lived alone in an attic dormer, I want to go see my sister who's sick with COVID, and you don't have COVID, and this is 2021, I would say, well, why would you do that and put yourself at risk and then come back and put me at risk? Didn't you have that conversation?
We didn't, Your Honor, no. It just didn't come up.
I want to go take care of my sister because she has COVID? What about isolation? Didn't you ever hear about that?
I did hear about that. I spent a lot
Well,
of
what do you
time
think that means?
Isolation means not traveling.
No, isolation means you're not supposed to be around other people if you test positive for COVID. If you're sick, stay at home. You don't travel cross country to be with somebody who's sick. But it doesn't make any difference, actually, because you should have picked up on that or whatever, because you didn't really want this ticket, according to what I read, Miss Strackman, to go and visit your sick sister. You needed this ticket because you had started to become involved with a boyfriend who was in jail in Florida.
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay, so that's a yes, which you didn't tell him. So you took the money from him for, let's just start with the ticket, under false pretenses.
I did, but
Just a second. That's all. I did. Not a but. Not a little. I did take the money from him under false pretenses when you went to Florida. He said you needed it for one thing, and in fact, you didn't. That's under false pretenses. How much was the ticket?
The ticket was for $427.40.
Okay. And when you went to Florida, Miss Strackman, and you stayed in a hotel, motel, what did you stay in?
I stayed in a hotel.
And whose charge account did you use for the hotel?
Yenny had given me a credit card.
That's not what I asked you. That's a name. Whose credit card did you use when you stayed at the hotel?
The plaintiff, Yenny's.
Mm-hmm. And that was by pre-arrangement with him that you were going to stay in a hotel rather than with your sister?
No, but I had the credit card for...
Now, that's not what I mean. Let's go back. You had the credit card. I'm assuming for the purpose of this question that what you say, and I don't know if it's true, but assuming for this question that what you say in your answer is accurate, that he gave you a credit card to use for your necessaries and expenses for emergencies.
Yes.
Yes. You would agree that going to visit secretly another boyfriend in Miami is not a necessity.
You would agree that Yenny cheating on me was not a necessity.
No. But did you use his credit card?
I did, and I believe that human love and kindness.
Okay, just a second. That's it. Do I look like I need help from you? If you had given him, Miss Strackman, a credit card, I want you to try to take everything else from out of your mind. If you had given him your credit card and said, I'm giving this to you because I said to you I would take care of you when we lived together if you didn't have a job. Let's say I believe that. I'm not so sure, but let's say I believe that. You would agree that going to see another boyfriend across the country was not a necessity for him or for me or for Whitney
for you, no,
or for Sarah.
For me, I'm a woman with needs. I need dopamine. I need love. I need connection, and I wasn't getting that from Yenny. So it was a necessity that I went to go visit another man. Yenny had other girls as well on the side.
But you didn't, just a second, Miss Strackman, you didn't pay for the other girls. You didn't pay for his other girls.
I paid emotionally.
Oh, you said, what an idiot.
Claims his ex-girlfriend, Gigi Strackman, owes for the cost of a plane ticket, credit card charges, and stealing his cat. Gigi says they were all necessary expenses for her.
Now, you should feel so lucky that you got off so cheap.
I think you should assume everything that comes out of her mouth.
No.
Why?
Yeah.
Because if I had, I wouldn't be here.
I get who I'm dealing with,
Yes.
sir. $427 for the flight ticket. How much was the credit card?
The credit card, also there's an incident with my cat as well, which
Just a second.
I'll address later.
Well, I'm going to get to that in a minute. That's your least strong suit, but it sort of tells me again who I'm dealing with. Okay. How much did she use on the credit card in Miami?
Okay.
So only in Miami.
Right. In Miami, she spent $1,000 on...
Now, just a second. Is that a sheet from your credit card company?
Yes.
I'd like to see it. Easier.
Would you like me to add the $427 for the flight ticket?
Yeah. Let's separate the two for me now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Everything you start, just show me where the bills are.
So those are two separate credit card statements because she used it in 2 separate months. One of those is when she initially started using it, which was...
I don't care when she initially started. Let's understand.
Yeah.
She got your credit card.
Yes.
I only want to see the charges from Miami.
Okay. It's the one that says bail bonds, the bigger charge, which was...
Just circle it.
Okay.
How much?
That was for $1,000, but overall it was...
No, $1,000. We're going to do it this way. $1,000 bail bonds.
Yes.
Okay, next.
And then she spent $262.50 at a hotel for both of them.
$250 for a hotel.
And then she spent $105 on a fancy dinner for her and her lover.
And her what?
And her lover.
Okay, 150?
150 is not fancy. That's the kind of person you're dealing with.
150. I don't think there's a question before you, madam. 10, 4, $1,400 there, is that close?
Including the 1,000?
Including the 1,000, but then not including the 425, so it would be 1,827.
Correct.
Thank you. Okay. Now let's get to the final issue. So that takes care of your plane ticket and the credit card while she was in Miami. Now let's talk about the cat. Ms. Strackman, you moved in with the plaintiff July of 20.
Yes.
And when you moved in with the plaintiff, did he have a cat?
Yes, he did.
Okay. And what was that cat's name?
That cat's name is Momo.
And you lived with him a total of approximately 6 months.
Yes, Your Honor. And during that time, the cat...
No, I didn't ask you any questions. There's no question before you. There's no question before you. I have dates. You moved in, you lived with him for 6 months. When you moved in, the cat was there. And if you could recall, in what month and year had you gotten the cat?
I got Momo right before she moved in with me as an emotional support animal, which is legally protected.
When you say right before she moved in with you, give me the month.
It was
and where did you get the cat from?
June 2020. I adopted her from a shelter.
So you didn't have the cat long?
No.
When she moved in?
No.
And then the two of you had the cat?
Yes.
Okay,
but
great.
The cat was
and then when she, just a second, then when she left in February of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We are now in August of 2022, and you recently filed this case with regard to your cat.
Right. I didn't know where she was.
Just a second.
Disappeared.
I don't care.
Okay.
You recently filed this case with regard to the cat. Did you make a police report when she left with the cat?
I don't.
The answer is either yes or no.
I don't like involving the police, so no. I didn't want to ruin her life.
Oh, well, I want to tell you something. I have a small 4-pound dog at home. I love that creature more than anything in the world, except my grandchildren, my husband, and my children. Hope there are enough life rafts for everybody, including the dog.
I did try to hire a private investigator in Florida, but I didn't know where she was.
Okay, you didn't report it to the police, and I do have a problem with that. Now, Ms. Strackman, you knew when you moved into him he had this cat that he had adopted.
Yes, Your Honor.
I want you to tell me what led you to believe you had the legal right to take that cat?
Because that cat had become severely bonded to me. Yenny was neglecting both of us, both of the women in his life he chose to neglect.
Because I was working and
No, just a second. Don't.
Sorry, I paid for everything.
And so the cat.
So he was neglecting the cat and you, so you decided maybe half a neglect, you could be one whole person.
Exactly. Me and her just getting out of here and gonna go start a new life together. I spent day and night with that cat. That cat was extremely bonded to me. She would be devastated without me.
Tell me how the cat died in your custody. Tell me how the cat died in your custody. That's not a smile story.
It's not. No, it's absolutely devastating. I am completely torn up about it. Unfortunately, my boyfriend's dog was not accustomed to cats and mistook her for a toy, and she did not survive that.
What kind of a dog does your boyfriend have?
We don't know the breed. I've never done the genetic testing.
Do you have a picture of the dog?
I do not. I didn't bring any evidence. I was hoping you just used.
You just brought your smile. Okay.
She's not with her boyfriend.
She said, I didn't ask you a question. There's no question before you.
Love transcends bars, Annie.
Okay, 1827, $1,000 for taking his cat, and because you're a fool. 7, 2, 8, 2827, judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much. We're done here.
This court is adjourned.
First of all, I'm glad, and I think justice was served. I'm not for Momo, but for the other scams that Jacqueline pulled.
Then I need dopamine, I need oxytocin, I need love, I need care.
Well, credit card fraud.
And Yenny said that they were going to be the person who was going to give that to me.
Deception, played with my heart.
And then didn't, so I had to find it elsewhere.
It was incredibly, this was Momo.
I did not have the cat killed. I was very attached to Momo. That was my cat as well.
It was incredibly hard to deal with. I was also alone when I had to process that news, so.
I did not set a hitman out on the cat. That's a lot to say.
She saw me as a sugar daddy, and she saw herself as a wannabe Anna Nicole Smith. Unfortunately, neither of us are those things.
Could I plead the fifth on finding another sugar daddy?
Yet another lesson we learned about cohabitants living together and the rules of what not to do. No cars, no pets, no money exchanges.
No joint pets, no joint.
Exactly. But today we learned a
shares.
new one. Today, don't give access to your credit card to anyone that you don't want racking up charges for any purpose, even to visit a secondary lover in another state.
You know, the divorce rate in this country is still hovering We're around 50%. The living togethers who don't quite make it to the marriage place is a much greater number.
Yeah.
Living togethers don't stay together 70% of the time. Why in the world would you buy a pet together?
It's a risk.
Car together? A timeshare together?
True.
Or give somebody a credit card.
Yeah.
At the time that you do it, you're happy with them. But since at least 70% of the time you're going to go your own separate ways, at that time you're mad at each other.
And the lines get blurry.
And the lines get blurry, absolutely.
Case number 2024, Morgan versus Davis. All parties, please step forward.
Corey Morgan is suing dress designer Jacqueline Davis for party costs and a dress deposit.
Miss Morgan, this is what this case is about in a nutshell. You were celebrating a birthday. When was your birthday?
March 24th.
And you always make a big deal, according to you, about your birthday. It's a very important day of the year for you and for everybody who knows you.
Correct.
Yeah, that's the way Sarah feels, actually. Me, I sort of like to forget birthdays now. I like it to run right by that day as undercovered as possible. Anyway, you celebrate your birthday with a big party.
Right.
And according to you, you get a spectacular dress for this party, invite everybody that you know and care about. How many people were you having for your birthday party?
It was going to be about 12 people.
Where was it going to be held?
It was going to be at the James Harden restaurant.
Who was going to be there?
My best friend from Chicago, my mom, my dad, just an intimate setting of family and friends.
Mom, dad, your best friend from Chicago. Who else?
Just family, cousins, aunt.
And you couldn't get the restaurant for that day, so you made it in April on a different day than your birthday.
Yes, I originally booked it in January 18th. The restaurant, it's a big deal, so yeah.
Whatever. It was postponed until what date?
Yes, ma'am, April.
Jacqueline Davis is responsible for party costs and a dress deposit. Jacqueline is countersuing, claiming Corey owes for travel costs.
And you ordered your dress from the defendant. You found her through a mutual friend because she makes wonderful clothes. The defendant also is a tax preparer, I understand. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So she's busy. So she makes clothes. She's a tax preparer in season. You made arrangements with her to make your dress, and she was going to make your dress at the cost of $300. According to you, you didn't get your dress in time. It was never fitted at all after your initial measurements were taken. Is that correct?
Yes.
And since you didn't have the dress for your dinner, you had a terrible birthday, you canceled your birthday, and you want her to pay for the dinner.
Yes.
That's
just the build up.
That's Miss Morgan. How old are you?
I just made 35, so it was the build up leading to it.
So if you turned 35, I'm a lot older. Sarah's younger, and my other grandchildren, you know, were around that age. I have one that's close to your age. I cannot imagine any of my older grandchildren, or me, for instance, canceling an event because I didn't have just the right dress. I mean, it's not as if a bride is canceling her wedding because she didn't have a wedding dress to wear. Of course, if you want to get married badly enough, you put a sack over your head with a tie and you walk down the aisle. But you don't cancel the wedding. So you want her to pay for the deposit that you made on the dress.
Yeah, it was.
And another $1,000 or more because you didn't have a nice party.
So originally when I booked it, it was for April 1st. When I tried to rebook it because she told me at the last minute that she was not going to be able to do the dress, which was the week of. I had originally set up for her to do the dress so I could have something to wear. I purchased shoes, nails, everything.
I understand everything. She's not going to pay you for the party. You should have worn something else for the party. Believe me, your best friend from Chicago, your mother and your father would not have cared if you wore that dress or any other dress. You should not be out a penny.
I was out of penny.
Well, you were out $150. You gave her $150. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
I gave it back to her. I sent her a refund.
Oh, you did send her a
did.
refund?
Yes.
Did you? Just a second. Up. When did you send her a refund, Miss Davis?
I sent her a refund on March 29th. She requested a refund on March 28th, and I sent it directly to her.
To her on March 29th?
Yes.
How did you send it? By check or?
She sent me the money via Cash App, and I returned it via Cash App.
Do you have verification of that?
Yes, I do.
And she kept that money?
Yes.
Is that correct, Miss Morgan?
Yes, ma'am.
That's just a yes.
Yes.
Well, what did you think you were taking that money for? You asked for a refund, she gave you a refund.
I gave her $150 and she sent me $105 back, but she sent it the week of my event. So
I don't care if it's the week of your event. Did you send her 105 or?
I did.
Why?
Because I was charged a fee with Cash App, and also there were additional items that were purchased that I told her about that I deducted from that.
You can't deduct anything from that. And you can't even deduct the fee from Cash App because what it cost her was more than $150 then to send it to you, right?
Right.
Right. So why should you send her less?
Because I previously explained to her that I needed to order stones. Those stones were ordered.
Oh, then you're going to have to eat those. You didn't have the dress in time. You didn't have the dress in time.
The dress wasn't done.
No, it wasn't done. Not even according to you was it done. She hadn't had a fitting on it. The problem is you gave her money, and you should have sent her exactly what it is that she sent you because you didn't fulfill your end of the contract. A day before the party is not the time to say it's 95% ready. Okay. She has to give you $145.88, which is exactly what she received. Am I correct that that's what she said?
That is what she said.
$145.88? Okay. She doesn't pay you for your disappointment, for your sorrow, for your party costs, or anything else, just for my own information, because that's my judgment. Did you spend your birthday with your mother and father? That's either yes or no.
No, ma'am.
Who did you spend your birthday with?
My boyfriend.
Oh, was he invited to the other party?
The dinner, yes, but I had to cancel the dinner.
I'm just asking.
Yes.
You didn't have to cancel the dinner because you didn't have a dress. That's what I'm trying to get to you. You could have gone to your dinner in that dress. I know, it's silly, and it's a little bit immature also. What about your best friend from Chicago? You told her not to come in because you didn't have a dress?
Well, I told him that I would be canceling the dinner because I purchased shoes, my nails, everything was accustomed to the dress. So when she didn't deliver the dress, everything was already in black and silver. I did not have a chance to go look for anything because it was the week of.
Oh, yes, of course you did. Of course you did, black and silver. You put on black pants, black top, and you put on silver around your neck. We're done here. Don't be ridiculous, Miss Morgan. You have to grow up a little. You have to give her back her money. Don't disappoint people. I mean, I know it's busy. It's tax time. You said to her, I'm busy. I'm working on things for the Oscars. You can't overstretch yourself. I know that it's very entrepreneurial to try to do too much. But sometimes when you try to do too much, you disappoint somebody.
This court is adjourned.
I'm not happy about it just because I'd already given her a refund.
I'm happy with the decision. It was pretty much principle for me. She was very unprofessional.
And given from the beginning, I worked with her.
And she didn't respect my time, and she canceled on me at the last minute.
And she waited to the last minute and canceled the order. So
she canceled at the last minute because she didn't have the dress ready to begin with.
Everything was really on her, but she put it on me because she was unhappy with how she chose to deal with the whole situation.
We'll be getting another dress with my original person that I was going to go to.
Absolutely not.
But from now on, I definitely will be going with who I know.
Will not work with the plaintiff again.
So I remember seeing through COVID, a lot of wedding dress shops closing down and the stress of brides going for fittings and seeing their dress, picking their dress, and then the shop just closed right out from under them. I wonder if any of them canceled their wedding because they didn't have the right dress.
I think that one of the life's lessons is as you get older, you have to prioritize the importance of things.
True. Spending time with friends, family, out of town, coming for your birthday. I couldn't imagine canceling an event just
because you didn't have the right
outfit.
dress. Because you didn't have the right dress. So I think that there's a lot of growing up to do, maybe a little less narcissism, because it would seem to me spending time with your boyfriend, your mother, your father, your best friend from Chicago is more important than having the right dress to fit your nails and your shoes.
I agree.
Maybe I'm just...
Michael Griniger is suing truck mechanic Sean Antle for a truck engine and repair costs.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2022, Griniger versus Intel.
Thank you. Mr. Griniger, how long have you and the defendant been friends?
I've known Sean probably maybe 3 or 4 years now.
From where?
He lives about 3 blocks away from me. I've met him through another friend that told me he worked on his vehicles before.
You did mechanical work?
Yes.
What kind of business are you in?
Construction, you name it, anything construction.
And you have a couple of trucks?
Yes.
How many?
I have one commercial vehicle, and then I just have a Chevy Avalanche.
The commercial vehicle, would you describe it to me? That's the one he was supposed to work on?
Yes.
Describe it to me, please.
It's a 16-foot box truck.
How old?
97.
1997.
Yes, ma'am.
It's as old as Sarah. And I suppose it needed a little work.
Yes.
And you took it to your friend.
Yes.
Did you drive it over there to his house 2 or 3 blocks away? Did you have it towed over to his place?
We had to have it towed over there. It was operable before.
But you had it towed.
Yes.
Yeah. And what month and year did you have it towed there?
I believe this started in June of 2020.
And Mr. Rantel, you looked at it and you determined it needed a new engine.
Well, I looked at it. Actually, I did some work prior to that. The intake manifold gasket was...
You mean before June of 2020?
Yes.
And then the truck was running? Then he took back...
Running very crappy.
So it was not running well even after you fixed it?
After I put the intake gasket on, I had it started, it made the same noise. We decided to put an engine in it.
Okay, so it wasn't working after the initial work you did on it?
No.
Decided to put an engine in it. How much was it to work on the engine?
He gave me a little bit of money here, a little bit of money there. It was not all in one lump sum.
How much did he give you?
It was 100 here once, 100 twice, a couple different times, you know.
How much money did you give him?
800.
How much did you quote him for the whole job?
1,000.
So he gave you 800, and according to the papers that Mr. Griniger filed, he also purchased an engine.
Yes.
And this was in June of 2020.
I didn't get the motor at my house until I'm trying to think. It was in the winter, it was in December.
Of 2020?
Yes, 2020, yep.
Do you have the date that you purchased the engine?
Yes.
What was it?
January 7th, 2021.
Okay, so the truck sat on his property for 6 months
Yes.
before you got the engine, which was needed to fix it.
Yes. He said it was the intake plenum.
Was that in June of 2020?
Yeah, that's when it began. That's the whole...
Okay. When did he tell you that you needed an engine? In what month? Do you recall?
That was in January.
So the truck sat there, and finally you told him that it needed a new engine, but it was already sitting there for months.
I told him like 2 or 3 months prior to that.
Okay, so it was sitting there for 3 months or 4 months?
Yes.
And he'd already paid you the $800?
He gave me a little bit here and there, yes.
They already paid you the $800 towards the $1,000. So this is what the case is about. The truck has never been fixed. He doesn't have the engine anymore. He scrapped the engine, according to him. Yes. So you want what you paid for it, the engine.
Yes, Your Honor.
First of all, Mr. Ransell said, well, he worked on another truck for you, a smaller truck, and so that ate up the $800. And you didn't come for the engine, and finally he just sold it for scrap. Mr. Antel, were you very busy during this period of time?
Not really, no.
Well, could you tell me why it took 3 months for you to tell him that he needed a new engine?
He knew after I put the plenum gasket back on. I called him on the phone.
What month?
It had him in November, right before Thanksgiving.
So at the end of November. So you had the truck since June. June, July, August, September, October. You had the truck 6 months. Could you tell me why?
Why? I had problems with it. I couldn't get the bumper off. I couldn't do none of that.
Well, but that's your responsibility. You undertook a job.
Yeah, I took the job because he was supposed to help me, and he never did.
He was supposed to help you put in the new engine?
Help me get the bumper off, and then I had problems with the city of Brooklyn Center.
No. He was supposed to help you get the bumper off, and because you couldn't get the bumper off, you couldn't do the engine. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, because it was rusted solid.
Shh. I assume, I've read your papers, I assume this is the mechanic that you say helped you work on another car for him that you gave money to?
Yes.
Okay, so that's why he's here.
Yep.
Okay. In what month and year did you fix this other car?
January
of 2021.
2022.
So in January 2022, the truck was where?
The Avalanche.
The big one.
At his house, at Mike
And
Rager's.
he brought you another truck?
Yes.
Which other truck did he bring you in?
The Chevy Avalanche.
The big truck, the commercial truck, is now back at his house.
Yes.
And it went back to his house because they were going to tow it from the city.
Yes.
And you say in January, he then brought you a different truck.
Yes, of 2022.
That you worked on.
Yeah, completed it.
Just a second. Do you recall that, sir?
No, it's not exactly how it went.
Did you, in January of 2022, did you bring him, you had the big commercial truck back at your house because it had to be moved.
Yep.
You hadn't gotten your $800 back.
Nope.
And he still had the engine.
Yep.
In January of this year.
Yep.
So, yep is not an answer, yes is an answer. So, why, sir, under those circumstances, would you bring him another car to fix?
Sean Ansel owes for a truck engine and repair costs. Sean is countersuing, claiming Michael filed a false police report against him.
Now, you hadn't gotten your $800 back.
Nope.
And he still had the engine.
Yep.
In January of this year.
Yep.
So, yep is not an answer, yes is
sorry.
an answer. So why, sir, under those circumstances, would you bring him another car to fix?
Because then I had absolutely no transportation. I needed something to work.
Just a second. You have a big truck, you had a little truck. So the big truck is now immobile, it's at your house. And the only working vehicle that you had needed work on it.
Yes.
So you brought it to him?
Yep.
Not yep. That's
yep.
yes.
Yes.
And he worked on it?
Yes.
Because it was inoperable?
No, it was operable, but he told me that...
Not he told you. You didn't bring it to him because he told you you were having trouble with it.
Yes.
What kind of trouble were you having with it?
There was a grinding
Oh, that's a
sound.
big deal. Grinding sound.
Yes.
What parts did it need?
Well, he told me it was the transfer case.
Did he fix your truck?
Eventually, but it was the rear end.
Just a second. Eventually, did he fix, take your hands out of your pockets, did he fix the truck? The second one? The smaller one?
Yeah.
The one that you needed for
Yes,
transportation?
eventually, yes, he did put in a rear end.
Okay. Did you pay him for that?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
How much did you pay for that?
$300.
How long did he have it?
Oh, he did that within about a week.
2 days.
2
days.
Okay. So it took you 2 days?
Yes.
Did you give him a bill for that work?
I didn't give him nothing, just a word of mouth.
He says that he gave you $300 to fix that car. Did he give you $300 to fix that car?
No, he did not.
Okay, do you have any proof?
$600 altogether.
Just a second. Would you please show me any proof that you have that you gave him $300 to fix that car?
I don't have proof of the money that I gave him. I just have the receipt.
He doesn't got it.
Okay. I just have the receipts for the parts that I bought for the vehicle. He
Okay.
first said it was the transfer case. I buy a transfer case.
Doesn't matter. He's working, so.
Yeah, but I paid him to do something. He took something apart of the truck. It wasn't even the problem. But yet I still paid him for it.
But this, quite honestly, I don't
And
understand.
then I paid him
sir.
for the rear end, too.
I don't understand a couple of things.
Okay.
If I've been disappointed by a workman, as you clearly were, from June 2020 until January 2022, because they hadn't completed a job for you, despite the fact that you purchased the part, I wouldn't call that same mechanic back. I wouldn't call that same plumber back. I wouldn't call that same electrician back because I'd had a bad experience with them. So it confounds me as to why you would take another vehicle to him if you were so dissatisfied with his work.
Understandable.
Yeah. Well, so what?
Felt like I was in, in a tight spot, and I really couldn't
What kind of
afford.
tight spot were you in? Where do you live?
I live in Minneapolis.
Minneapolis, that's a big town. There are lots of mechanics there. There are lots of auto repair, truck repair.
Yeah, but I really financially couldn't afford, legitimate.
Well, that's what happens when you deal with a legitimate. But I don't understand why an otherwise intelligent man would take his only semi-operating vehicle to the same person who had his truck for a year and didn't fix it. Listen, what'd you do with his engine?
I scrapped it.
Okay. Don't be mad at me.
Huh?
Don't be mad at me.
I'm not. I love you.
Okay, good. Thank you. When did you scrap it?
The end of April of 2022.
Did you give him any notice that you were going to scrap his engine?
No, I did not. There's a false police report made against me.
Okay.
I have the case number and the officer's number.
Okay, just a sec. So you retaliated because that's your counterclaim, that he filed a false police report, as a result of which, and the false police report said that during the course of a heated argument about this truck, that he says that you pulled a gun and
did not
filed a police report.
No, I didn't.
So?
You did.
Prove it. You can't.
Mr. Rantel. And that's your counterclaim, that he filed this false police report and nothing ever came of it except you were embarrassed by being questioned by the police in front of family members.
Yes.
And as a result of that false police report, you threw away his motor.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, you can't do that. That you can't do. How much did you pay for the motor, sir?
$690 plus I paid $100 for delivery of the motor.
I'd like to see the invoice for that.
I got the invoice for the motor, but
That's
not...
all I need.
Okay.
Thank you. So, Mr. Rantel, so that we're clear, you have to understand you can't get even by selling somebody else's property.
I didn't
What you
sell
do?
it. I didn't sell it. I
Scrap.
gave it away.
It doesn't matter. By disposing of. Let's make it disposing of. When you say you scrapped it, you mean nobody gave you $10 for it?
Not a dime.
Okay, then you can't give it away in retaliation
Why
for
not?
filing.
Why not? It was in my possession.
No, because you took
trying to put me in jail for not something I didn't do.
Just a second. I'm speaking. I'm speaking. You cannot sell someone else's property in retaliation for them doing something to you when you have legal recourse. Your legal recourse is to come here and file a case. You did it as a counterclaim and say he filed a false police report against me that I was using a gun. So that's what you do. The response to that isn't, I'm going to sell his property. That's not your response. You know, when I used to sit in family court, I had young people, one of whom was selling drugs for a very long time, heavy drugs. Kid, 15, 16 years old. And he had 6 or 7 priors for selling heavy-duty drugs. And I tried that case, and there was no question he was selling drugs. And his lawyer's argument at the disposition stage of that case was he was selling drugs because his grandmother died. I said, I lost all my grandparents, and I was close to my grandparents. I did a lot of things. I grieved, lost my appetite for a while. I was sad, but I didn't sell drugs. So when somebody does something to you that you believe is against the law, your responsibility is you file a case against them.
Right.
You proceed legally against them. You don't take it out in another way, because that doesn't make a civilized society. Just doesn't. That makes sort of a vigilante kind of thing. So you shouldn't do that. So you have to pay him for his engine. Now, as far as the second piece of your case is the $800 that you gave him, I have no idea how much it was to fix your second car, but he did in fact fix it. And since you had no particular agreement with him on how much it was, and according to you, you couldn't deal with someone, you didn't have the funds to deal with someone who was, I think the word was legitimate.
Legitimate.
That's a problem that I can't resolve for you. Now let's get to this argument and his counterclaim. The argument that you had was over the truck.
The white truck? Yes.
Any truck. I don't care what.
Yes.
I'm not a truck girl myself. I like 4-door comfortable sedans. And this argument took place on what date? Why don't you tell me, Mr. Rantel, because this is your counterclaim.
It was the end of April.
End of April of 2022.
Yes.
And the police were called.
No, ma'am.
Yes, the police were called. They showed up at my place.
No, the police report is 7/25/22.
7/25/22.
May I see the police report?
Yes, ma'am. Or, Your Honor.
That's a lie, because it was April.
I'm going to look at it. Just a second. Yeah, time of occurrence, April 22nd, 2022. It was April.
Yeah.
Yes, I got him.
Truck mechanic Sean Ansel of wrongfully selling his engine and threatening him. Sean claims Michael accused him of flashing a gun he never owned.
Now, I'm going to look at it. Just a second. Yeah, time of occurrence, April 22nd, 2022. It was April.
Yeah.
Yes, I got him.
You have a driver's license?
It's currently suspended.
How long has it been suspended, Mr. Gruniger?
About a year now.
What were you doing driving a vehicle?
I wasn't. They were towing the vehicle with a tow chain.
I understand that. But you drive a vehicle, sir.
I was steering the vehicle.
What does that mean, you were steering the vehicle?
Driving it.
The vehicle
Just-
moving at 4 miles an hour.
I don't care if it was
Behind-
running backwards. I just asked you. You have no license because, according to the police, you having a driver's license would be inimical to public safety. That's what it says here. Now, why is that? Have you had accidents in the past? Yes.
Yes.
Serious ones? Yes. Okay. You don't need a truck. You don't need a car. You have no driver's license.
No, ma'am. Me and my son, we work construction together. He drives.
Do you know how old I am? Do you have any idea how old I am? You think that I believe that? I was only going 4 miles an hour. I will set the rules of what it is that means driving. You go 5 miles an hour, it's really not
He lives
driving.
3 blocks away from him. We were just
I don't care.
towing it down the street.
I don't care whether you were in the kitchen, he was in the laundry room. And when you spoke to the police, Mr. Gruniger, there were 2 other witnesses, and you would not give them the last name or contact information for either of them. Is that right? That's what it says here, unless it's calling
Yeah,
the
I
police
didn't know
lies.
his last name.
And you wouldn't give them your son's name because you say he doesn't like police.
And that I want to make straight. That is not true. I would not tell a police officer my son
It should
doesn't
be noted
like
that
police.
Gruniger stated that Michael Jr. would not give a statement because he didn't like police.
Right.
As well as
That's
Gruniger
not
would
true.
not
My little
give the
brother's
phone
a
number
police
for Michael
officer.
Jr. I'm just telling you, I'm reading you what
I know, I'm
but
sorry.
you handed me. It's your evidence.
Yep, I'm sorry.
Okie dokie. Did you make an application, Mr. Gruniger, for any sort of protective order against him?
No.
No. You were advised by the police that you could do that if you wanted to.
No.
Interesting.
Yeah, that report is interesting.
It was you, your son, and this person, Kyle, who were present, and only Mr. Antel. Is that right, when this confrontation took place?
Yes.
And according to you, you got out of your truck and you started walking towards him aggressively. That's according to you.
That's not true. He's 40 feet away from me.
No. According to you, I'm reading you what your police report says, sir.
Yeah, but
I'm reading what your police report says based upon what you told the police at the time back in April.
it's not entirely correct.
Griniger stated that he started advancing towards Antel. Griniger also stated that he called Antel you while he was walking towards him. It should be noted that Griniger stated, and this is all on body cam, that he was walking towards Antel aggressively. Griniger stated that Antel then pulled what he described as a black handgun out of his sweatshirt pocket. He described it as black and silver trim. He stated that he did not point it or say anything, just showed it to him to make you aware that he was carrying. And after the police interviewed both of you and confirmed the two people with you were out and you were walking and confronting him aggressively, called his names, and could not confirm the fact that he had a gun, took out a gun, not pointed it to you, just showed you that he had it, they decided to do nothing. That's what you're telling me. That's what this report says.
Yeah, they didn't validate it as a threat.
They did not validate it at all.
Right.
Okay, so, Mr. Antel.
Yes.
What happened after that report is that police officers came to your house to ask you about that.
Yes.
Right? And you said, related practically the same thing that Mr. Griniger did to the police, that he approached you, that he called you a name, that he was aggressive. You said all of that.
Yes.
But you said you did not have a gun.
That's right.
Okay. And this is not meant to hold you criminally responsible for anything. Mr. Antel, have you ever had possession of a gun?
No.
Ever in your life?
No.
Did you ever purchase a gun?
No.
In your state, in order to purchase a gun legally, do you have to go through a process or is it a carry state?
You gotta go through a legal process.
You have to?
Yes.
Okay. Were you ever arrested for carrying a gun?
No.
Other than your statement that he showed you that he had a gun, and how far was he standing from you?
About 40 feet.
40 feet away. And you saw him take something out of his sweatshirt pocket.
He didn't remove it out of his pocket. He removed his hand covering it.
What does that mean?
It was in his pocket. He was wearing a hoodie.
How do you know it was in his pocket? What do you have, X-ray vision?
No, my son seen it because his vehicle was right alongside his vehicle. So my son seen it, and then when he got back in his car and pulled up another 10 feet and got out of his car, turned around and said, yeah, bring it, and a few expletives, and then pulled his hand out of his hoodie pocket and revealed the handle of the gun.
Just a second. So you're saying at that time you saw it?
Yes.
You saw it, not your son
My
40
son
feet away.
seen it
not
on the
son
seat
40
of his
feet away.
car.
That's a lie.
But
And
you
then
saw
he reached in and grabbed it and put it in his sweater because when he got back out of the car to face me is when he decided to show me he had a gun.
Okay. Were you out of your truck at the time?
Yes, I was standing beside
Okay,
him.
so you were out of your truck. And what about your son? Was he out of the truck?
Nope.
He was in. What about Kylie?
He remained in the truck too. He was the one in front pulling the truck that I was steering, and he was following behind. It was a little convoy.
And Mr. Antel was by himself?
Yes, he was driving down the street in the opposite direction.
Mr. Antel, I am not satisfied, quite frankly, and cannot make a determination whether or not you had a gun or what appeared to be a gun or what appeared to be something in your pocket or whether you even moved your hand in your pocket to demonstrate maybe you had a weapon. I don't find that the acts that you allege that he committed by filing this false police report is something that I can justify giving you a financial award for, because I'm not so sure that you didn't have something in your pocket.
I didn't have
I'm not sure. In any event, Mr. Antel, you owe him for the engine that you discarded in a peak. You can't do that. Cost of the engine was $590, right? $590. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished.
Your Honor.
Court is adjourned.
I was kind of in a hard spot. I needed my truck fixed.
Try to push me and push me.
I trusted him.
It didn't work today. I won.
Truck is inoperable. It's sitting in my backyard.
I worked for what he gave me.
I really couldn't afford, like I said, a legitimate shop or a mechanic.
I've never owned a pistol.
Yeah, he's lying.
Basically, if I'm gonna fight, I'm gonna fight with my bare hands.
Don't do anything without any receipts.
Our friendship is through.
You know, it's really hard when you have two difficult people, but there was something about what he said that had the ring of truth to it.
Very honest.
A directness. And I'm really not convinced. Were you?
No, I wasn't either.
That he had a gun.
It could have gone either way, and while I believed his outburst of innocence, I couldn't imagine making something like that up, but maybe that's just me. So it was really difficult. I don't think I could have made a determination either way either.
Yeah, and I think the answer is here. If you can't make a decision one way or another, it's not supposed to be a guess. It's supposed to be by some evidence.
Yeah.
But you can't sort of take the law into your own hands, and if he filed a police report, I'm going to scrap his engine. That's inappropriate. But with regard to the $800 that he paid him, there's no question he worked on the other truck. And he said he worked on it for 2 days.
To drive it.
And the plaintiff didn't have a license to drive it anyway.
Yeah.
And Sarah, didn't he say, I needed one functional vehicle? So something like that.
We'll have to get Whitney to read it back.
Yeah.
19-year-old Isabel Irwin is suing her father, Neil Irwin, for personal belongings.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case number 27, Irwin versus Irwin.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Irwin, this is your dad?
Yes, he is.
And you're 19?
Yes, I am.
According to what I read in your complaint, your parents divorced when you were 10.
Yes.
And your father was your primary custodian. You lived with him.
Yes, I did.
Did you graduate from high school?
Yes, I did.
When you were 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16, did you live with your father?
At the age of 15, I moved out because...
Okay, so at age 15, you moved out?
Yes.
Because here you said, when I was 18, my father kicked me out of the house for no good reason.
Yes.
Yes, what? Well, you've just told me that you left the house when you were 15.
Yes, and I lived with my mother for 2 years, and...
Okay, so from age 15 to 17, you lived with your mother.
Yes.
Is that because you were having difficulty with your father?
Yes.
Okay, and then you went to live with your mother.
Yes.
But that didn't last.
No.
So now, at 17, you go back to your father.
Yes.
And you stayed with him until you were 18.
Yes, correct.
So far, I have the fact that your family is a little dysfunctional, but that you had certain problems.
I moved out when I was 18.
Just a second. Would that be a fair statement, that you had some problems?
No, it would not be.
Okay. What high school did you graduate from?
It's a school partnered with the National Guard for kids that are off track to get them back on track.
Did you have to pay for that school?
No, they are paid by the government.
Could you look them up for me?
Yeah, it's a residential program for youths aged 16 to 18 who've dropped out of school or who are seriously behind in credits and need to catch up quickly.
Okay, so you were dropped out of school?
No.
Or seriously behind?
Yes. Dropped out or behind in credits.
Okay. And how old were you when you graduated from...
I was 17 years old.
And so at that point, you moved in with your father?
Yes.
And why did you leave when you were 18?
He had evicted me.
Okay. And I'd like you to tell me your version of his evicting you when you were 18, because this case involves you're suing your father for items that he disposed of that were yours, and you want this court to award you $7,400 for the things that he disposed of that were yours.
Yes.
Okay. So tell me why you believe he evicted you when you were 18.
I believe he evicted me when I was 18 because I was buying my first car and he got jealous of the car I had, and he stated that when I moved back in for the second time. He evicted me the second...
No. We're on the first time that your father evicted you, not the second time. The first time your father evicted you, I can ask him, or you want me to stay with you?
You can ask him.
Fine. Tell me why you evicted her the first time, which you did.
The main reasons would be that she agreed to pay rent, which she never did. She needed
working?
Off and on. I'd say over the past 2 years, she's probably had, from my guesstimate, 15 to 20 jobs, all ranging from an hour or a day, I think the longest being about 3 months. Can't maintain a job, would prefer to smoke pot all day in her room and hang out with her boyfriend, basically. Which at the time, for the first eviction, she did not know Corey.
Okay.
But she still does the same thing.
Yeah, well, that's unfortunate. That's what you indicate here. So that was the reason that you evicted her the first time. And that was maybe in June?
I would have filed that June 9th of 2021.
June. Okay. But she came back shortly thereafter, in October.
The sheriffs removed her August 13th, 2021.
Is that because you asked her to leave and she wouldn't?
It's a 3-step process. and I had a 24-hour notice posted to the door after 34 days.
Well, I mean, she's your daughter.
Yeah.
So there must have been some discussion, Mr. Irwin, with her. You saying to her, listen, this is not working out.
There wasn't a discussion, Your Honor.
Was not.
I served her the first notice. We talked about it.
Oh, you talked about it?
Prior to me filing. I told her I would do it. I don't think she believed me.
She knew you wanted her to leave as a result of that discussion.
Yes.
And she didn't.
She did not.
She had lived with you off and on, with the exception of 2 years that she lived with her mother, and part of it in a residential program. It's a residential program, correct?
Yes.
When she lived with you, she was 10 years old. Can you tell me, Mr. Irwin, from the time she was 10 until the time she was 18 and she was ultimately evicted, what items in the house she purchased? Bed, TVs, anything big?
She never purchased anything.
When she came back from her mother, what did she come back with?
I believe just a few clothes and a bag. She had to kind of run back.
And to the best of your knowledge, had your daughter maintained any sort of gainful employment the last 3 years?
No.
So other than the clothes she came back with when she was 17, there were no big-ticket items?
There were a few by the time I had to evict her the second time, but I would have furnished those, being, you know, bed set, furniture,
bed.
Tempur-Pedic bed. I think that's part of what she's really wanting out of this $7,400.
Okay, so you purchased a bed?
Yes.
Because you didn't have one in the room where she was?
I was just trying to take care, yeah. I was using the room for my own purposes. I live alone until she moved back in, and usually welcoming of my daughter coming home, so I furnished a room.
Okay, so that's why you left the first time. The first time you left because he got annoyed that you were hanging around doing nothing and smoking pot.
I did pay rent,
right.
too.
Right. And weren't doing it much.
No, I was not smoking often.
We're not doing much, is what I said.
Yes, I had a job. I worked at the beginning of the year.
For how many days?
I worked there for about 3 months, and then I worked as a kennel technician for about 2 months.
What happened to both those jobs?
My dad, his alcoholism, he would never let me sleep in the room as I was paying rent, and he would lock me out. He would lock me out. He would lock me out, and he would flip the garage switch, so I wasn't able to get access to the house. I wasn't able to get clean, so I couldn't obtain the job, and my mental health wasn't there for that job, so that's why I took the kennel technician job, and that's when he evicted me.
Where are you living now?
With my boyfriend.
That's him?
Yes.
And where are you working now?
I am unemployed.
Sorry, that's easy. So now you're not working. Now nobody's locked you out. Nobody's made it impossible for you to work. And what kind of work does your boyfriend do?
He is construction. I do DoorDash.
Okay. Your boyfriend is construction?
Yes.
How old is he?
He is 20 years old.
You're Corey?
Yes, Your Honor.
Who do you live with?
My mom and her new husband.
How did I know that? How did I just know that? It's so perfect to be old that, I mean, I ask the questions. I could have asked the questions and answered the questions. So you and your girlfriend live with your mother?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you graduate from high school?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what's the name of the company that you work for?
Landscape.
Do you work for them full time?
Yes, I do.
For how long?
I've been working for them about 2 months now.
2 months?
Yes.
Prior to that, what did you do?
I worked for Chewy.
Chewy, the dog products?
Yes, Your Honor.
What happened to that job?
I just wasn't liking the job anymore, and I thought I could do a lot harder work, and that's what I strive to do, is just continue trying to be the best person I can.
And what does your girlfriend do all day when you're out in your landscaping job for the last 2 months?
She stays busy going to the gym and making sure that everything is in tip-top shape, and just bringing me lunch when I'm on my break for work.
And you're living in your mom's house. Be a fair statement. You don't have to be a math wizard, which I am not, because you don't have enough money to move out into your own place.
Yes, Your Honor.
Does your mom work?
Yes, she does.
Who else lives in the house?
Her newly husband.
Now, you have a room in your mom's house?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is it furnished?
Yes, Your Honor.
Who bought the furniture?
I bought the bed set, and...
Tell me when you bought the bed set.
I bought it about 2 years ago because we moved there recently.
So what you're telling me is you purchased a new mattress?
Yes.
With your earnings?
Yes, Your Honor.
And how much was it?
It was about $1,500.
And if you left the house, you would want to take your mattress because you bought it.
Yes, Your Honor.
You wouldn't take any of the other furniture in the house because you didn't buy it.
Yes, correct.
Whether it's your dresser or a TV in your room, your parents bought that.
Yeah.
The mattress you bought.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now you can sit.
19-year-old Isabel Irwin claims her father, Neil Irwin, owes for personal belongings.
Now, I'm going to sort of pull this together. Eventually, you moved back into the house after an initial eviction and you weren't doing well, I assume.
Yes.
And then you came back a couple of months later and asked your father if you could move back in.
Yes.
And he said, okay.
Yes.
And that didn't work out. He was unhappy with the arrangement.
I was paying rent before. He was kicking me out, so I decided not to pay rent.
Whatever the reason, he wasn't happy with it. You were gone for a couple of months.
He evicted me, yes.
Yes. Well, he evicted you for a reason, Miss Irwin. You have to stop being a baby. He evicted you for a reason. He took you back because you went there. You said, I have no place to go. I assume, without going into specifics, because you look a little frightened, and I don't have to get that crazed with you because it sounds like a very sad situation. He said, it's not working out again. I want you to leave. And when you left, you did not, according to you, take your stuff. And your father, at some point after he received a text message from you, which I assume you have, sir.
I do.
Which said, have a nice life. After he received that, waited a while and disposed.
That was a statement I made because I asked him to help me fill up my tires because they needed air, and I saw him pull into the Safeway parking lot and leave with his groceries, and he never helped me.
Okay. So you said, have a nice life. And then you want a whole bunch of things from the house. Now, I want you to tell me, with your limited work history, which you have, hardly enough to sustain yourself, because in October you came back to him and said, I need a place to live. So I want you to tell me what you purchased.
I purchased the Tempur-Pedic bed.
And who did you purchase it from?
My father.
You purchased it from your father?
Yes, he made the original purchase and said I could just give him the money, which I did.
Okay. And how much did you give him for the mattress?
$3,000.
That's incorrect.
Show me that you gave him $3,000. I can't figure that you had saved $3,000.
I gave him that to purchase the mattress because that was the time I was purchasing my car.
How could you purchase a car? You don't work. You don't work.
The first one
This
was
doesn't tell me anything.
Transaction that
this doesn't tell me anything. You want to tell me that tells me nothing. You want to give that to her. I would have to find credible, Miss Irwin, that you had managed to save from your job that you had for 3 months while you claim you were paying your father rent $3,000.
It was the leftover money from me purchasing my car.
Oh, I don't believe that. For 1 second. Okay, you want to tell me about the mattress, sir?
Okay, simply put, I got one for myself when she wasn't living with me, and the mattress I furnished her with, it was a Ford model. He gave me a good deal on it. I think it retails about $3,500. I got it for $2,300. My daughter and I did have an agreement that she could purchase the mattress for $1,800. However, as you may have figured out, that did not occur.
And this was after she moved back in October, or when she was...
Yep. Yes, it was.
After she moved back in October?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. The mattress is staying where it is. Okay. Now let's go to dresser, nightstand, and TV. So you acknowledge that none of those things you purchased, bed, dresser, nightstand, and TV.
No, I did not purchase them.
Okay. Now that's your father's. He threw out my clothes, shoes, and jewelry. Now, you were evicted.
Yes.
Was it an actual eviction? Did marshals come to the house?
No. I got served the eviction notice on June 30th. He illegally locked me out.
No. June 30th.
Yes.
So on June 30th, you were given an eviction notice that said that you had to be out on what date?
In 30 days.
Okay. So far, is that correct, Mr. Irwin?
It's fairly correct. I do have the 30-day no-cause notice to quit that she was served.
Okay. And on what date did you leave?
On July 1st, because he had thrown a camera
Just a second.
at my boyfriend.
You left on July 1st?
Yes.
Tell me how you left.
I packed a small bag, and I had left.
You packed a small bag that contained what?
A few of my clothes and whatever I could grab for a few nights.
And where did you go?
To my boyfriend's house.
So you went to Corey's house?
Yes.
Do you have a laptop?
I do not.
Do you have a phone?
Yes, I do.
Did you take the phone?
Yes, I did.
You took some clothes with you, and you knew that you had an eviction notice, correct?
Yes.
Tell me what jewelry you allege your father threw out.
He threw out my necklace my boyfriend had bought me. He
Okay.
threw out
Which boyfriend?
this boyfriend, Corey.
Tell me about the necklace.
He had purchased it for my birthday.
Okay. Stand up, Corey. Tell me about the necklace you purchased.
I had purchased it from K Jewelers. I had purchased it for about $250.
Okay. When?
On her birthday, just a little before.
When's her birthday?
February 20th.
Did she wear the necklace?
Yes, Your Honor.
Every day?
No, just on occasions, whenever we'd go out and do stuff and all that.
When she came to your house with her bag, did you ever see the necklace again?
No, I did not, Your Honor.
Do you know where this necklace is?
I do not.
Did you throw away a necklace?
I guess anything's possible because when she left and sent me the "Have a nice rest of your life" text, it looked like a hoarder's room, so I guess anything could have been in there.
Who cleaned it up?
I did.
Didn't see a necklace.
Didn't see a necklace.
Okay. Were you looking for anything of value?
I wasn't looking for anything. To me, it looked like old clothes that probably hadn't been worn in years.
Okay.
I just wanted to clear out the room.
Fine. Have a seat. Other than that necklace, what other jewelry did you have?
I had some rings I purchased from Ojai, California on a trip I previously took for my dad.
Okay. What else? You took a bag of clothes. What specific? Because you had jewelry, shoes. I assume you took some shoes with you because you were going to be there.
Not.
Well, you were wearing a pair of shoes.
Yes, I was. I was wearing my old shoes.
Okay. When you got rid of all of the stuff, Mr. Irwin, you didn't go through any of it?
No, I did not.
Did you give her any notice that she had 10 days, 2 weeks to get her stuff?
I did not give her notice.
On what date did you dispose of all of her stuff?
It would have been around July 20th, about 20 days after or so.
Okay. Well, but even according to your eviction notice, she had 30 days to vacate.
Well, if you read the actual eviction notice, it's 5 days. After 5 days, you have to file another part of the eviction notice, which is unlawful detainer, meaning that she is now there illegally. So she left within the 5 days, willfully.
19-year-old Isabel Irwin has accused her father, Neil Irwin, of throwing out her personal property. Neil claims he paid for Isabel's belongings.
Okay, so you didn't file the next step.
I did not.
So she left within 5 days. That was the
Yes.
And she just left the place a mess.
A mess, yes.
Okay, who is this?
This is my mother, Janice Leonard.
Could you stand up, please, for a moment? Miss Leonard, how many grandkids do you have?
Well, from Neil to I have 6.
Did you and Miss Irwin get along?
Oh, yes. She came to, we lived in Idaho at the time. I had an equestrian center. So every summer she would be there all summer long. We taught her to ride. She had the best horses. She jumped. She was a fantastic rider. But as the years went on, it was just getting more difficult. When she turned 14, her behavior changed drastically.
Can you describe, I know that you moved back to where your son lived. And according to the answer, he gave you a key to the house. He was in Las Vegas on a trip.
That's correct.
Could you describe when you went into the house what Miss Irwin's room looked like?
Every time I would go over there, the house would be worse every single day. And there was a very strong, pungent smell, so I thought the dogs were going to the bathroom. Her room was a total disaster. There's clothes literally strewn, I don't know how tall, but 12 inches maybe. Nothing was ever picked up. And one day, before Neil came back, I said, this place is really smelling bad. And later I learned that they were smoking marijuana. They would be in the bedroom and giggling and in the bathroom together. And when I would come, she'd only be there for maybe 20 minutes and they both would leave. There was no respect, I have to say. I've seen her in action and she can be very nice and very polite, but there's a whole nother side that is actually very scary, to the point when she was, years ago, 14, my husband and I were locking our bedroom door because we were afraid of her when she stayed.
Okay, thank you. Isabel, is that what they call you, or they have a
Yes.
Isabel. Word of advice, caution, you're 19?
Yes.
You look older. That's not a compliment. You seem like an intelligent young woman.
Thank you.
But I see issues there of blaming everyone else, and it's very possible that your father and your mother and other people share the blame in your issues. That's possible. But at this point in your life, Isabel, you're just starting, and you can either spend your life blaming somebody else, parents, grandparents, siblings, for where you are, or you can say, I have to get myself some help and put a period, because I'm 19 years old and I want to live to be 79. And right now, that doesn't look good for you. I'm telling you, you look troubled and older than your years. Your father looks better. Your grandmother looks better. They look appropriate to their age and stage and clearer. So I think that you should get some help. I also think, Mr. Irwin, there were things in her room, and believe me, I have seen rooms like that. You know, I have been involved with lots of kids and grandchildren. Most of them grow up, and once they get a place of their own, they walk around with a bottle of Windex and Bounty and clean up after everybody's fingerprints. But if they're living in their parents' house or their grandparents' house, they live like slobs. Sometimes that never changes. But, you know, there's messy, and then there is dysfunctional. And what you are describing is dysfunctional. And I think if your daughter was honest, she would look and she would say, that's dysfunctional. You were in the room, Corey?
Yes, Your Honor.
Stand up. Would you describe your girlfriend's room in her father's house as evidence of being dysfunctional? Not a right here, Corey.
Okay.
Does her room look like your room?
No, it does not, Your Honor.
Okay. Would your mother permit your room to look like her room? It's not an answer, Corey. Would your mother permit your room that you're sharing to look like the room that was in his house where your girlfriend lived and you stayed occasionally?
No, Your Honor.
No. Okay, sit down. You should have looked for the necklace. He gave me an honest answer to everything that I asked him. So the necklaces was probably mixed in with a load of garbage that was there.
To say the least.
That was accumulated. It was like a hoarder. So I'm
Your
awarding
Honor,
you.
I have a
you give
video
it to your
of the
boyfriend.
room.
$250 to go and buy her a new necklace. Thank you very much. This case is over.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I agree with the judge's decision 100%. I think it was very fair.
I think it wasn't fair.
She has so much more potential than what she's doing right now.
I was just trying to get my belongings, and he literally just never wanted me to do it.
She's a great kid, and in all reality, she's just making some wrong decisions right now.
I made any really bad decisions. It's all been influenced by my father. You know, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
I hope she grows up, and I love her.
I know I need to grow up, but he evicted me, gave me 2 days, and I didn't want to make
I hope you weren't talking about me when you were thinking of your grandchildren keeping messy rooms. I try and be neat and nice and organized.
Well, I wasn't thinking about you today as a law school graduate, but I do remember when you were in college and you were staying with us rather than in the dorm, keeping your door closed because it looked like somebody hit your room with a Mixmaster.
Maybe just a few too many open suitcases, I guess.
Yeah, open, unpacked suitcases. But got older and more respectful, and then you had your own apartment, and I remember visiting your apartment, and I said, who is it that lives here? I couldn't figure out who lived here. It's not the same person who lived with me.
It's a maturity thing, and I think I was shocked to see that she was only 19 years old, in line with what you said to her, that she looks...
Good morning. Good morning. I love you. I do.
Are you mad?
No.
Are you grumpy?
No.
Are you sad?
No.
Are you angry?
No.
What are you?
I don't know.
What do you want?
A chocolate.
You want what?
A chocolate.
Oh, you poor thing.
Yeah.
How would you describe your mom in one word? All right.
Tired. Can I keep you forever? Mama， 我是不是我可爱爆了？爆。